Hey guys, how are you all? Welcome back to my channel. Today we will see what if Naruto walks away from his family. If you enjoy, then please like, share and do comments. It has been a few years since the destined meeting of Naruto, Roxas and Alucard, who are known to themselves as the Fox brothers. For the first week since their meeting, Naruto had managed to sneak back and forth between the Namikaze estate to the ship which Naruto newly named the Hidden Fox for daily visits to Roxas and Alucard. His parents and siblings never noticed when he left to go to the deadly forest due to them ignoring the blonde. When the blonde felt it was safe, he packed up his things and moved into the Hidden Fox. The first thing Naruto did when he set up his possessions within the ship, he started to look over all this research and the layout of the ship. Apparently the ship had multiple areas for a variety of different functions, from training, utilities, kitchen, engine room, lab, power room and storage, etc. Naruto had discovered a whole lot of information within the deceased scientist's lab. Aldous had managed to create special items that contained special elements and gave them solid form in the shape of what seemed to be stars. These stars were known as copy abilities, or copy stars for short. These stars were very unique as their powers could only be used by those with relic or star energy within them. The boy remembered the first copy star he had used. Flashback. Naruto, Alucard and Roxas were currently in one of the training rooms which held multiple globes containing what seemed to be stars within them, different objects. With no doubt, he bet those stars inside were copy stars. Naruto was holding one of Aldous' journals that was on the table when they entered the room. Alright, it says here that these are copy pedestals, special globes that grants a copy ability depending on its type. One must touch a pedestal in order to gain that element, but be warned. Taking too much damage will relieve you of the copy ability. Naruto read as he looked at the pedestals. Which one should I choose? Notices an orange star pedestal with 3 dark orange sparks forming a whip on the star. That one looks interesting. Orange is a trusting color, so let's go with this one. Naruto spoke as he touched the pedestal, causing energy from the star to merge with him, surging through his body. His clothes began to change into orange and blue vest and pants, blue jester shoes, a blue cape with the Uzumaki symbol on the back as a red and orange half and half jester hat appeared on his head with a white collar. White stars on the orange half, while the other was red, and 2 white balls at the tips and a gold staff with a blue sphere crystal on the top emerged in his hands. Naruto opened his eyes as they were now a bright orange. Whoa, this is cool and I like the new clothes. I wonder what I can do now. Naruto spoke as Alucard and Roxas ran up to the orange blonde. Roxas leaped towards the pedestal, touching it as he took on beam form as well, minus the clothes except for the hat and the staff, while Alucard brought out a round stone training dummy for them to use. Poyo. Roxas spoke as he signaled Naruto to follow his lead. The crystal in Roxas' scepter glowed before forming an energy whip that slammed into the dummy, shocking it and knocking the sucker back. Naruto had a shit-eating grin on his face when he tried. This is going to be fun, Naruto thought with a big fox-like grin on his face. Naruto thoroughly abused the training dummies for the whole time that day with non-stop assaults of copy abilities. To say the boy had a blast was an understatement. Then there was the Warp Star and the Fox Star. It seemed that those with star energy had specials, airborne vehicles known as Warp Stars. Roxas had the all-balanced Warp Star, while Naruto decided to take up the mantle of the speed-type Fox Star. It took a while for the blonde to get used to riding the star, but he quickly got a hang of it. One of the things he liked about it was that he could shrink the star and wear it like a pendant, or he can call on the star and it will appear to him no matter where he was. Over the 3 years, the brothers trained in mastering their powers, while Naruto helped start teaching them on how to speak. Thanks to all this research from journals, scrolls and even physics, math or any kind of book, Naruto was now much smarter than the average 8-year-old, even if the 8-year-old was a Nara. He taught himself to build gadgets that manipulated relic energy, star energy or both. The boy also gained extensive knowledge of shinobi, chakra and jutsus thanks to Aldous' scrolls he and the ones Roxas and Alucard retrieved over the time they spent living here. No longer did he had to survive on what little he had, get overcharged by store owners or fear of getting kicked out. No parents or siblings to neglect or harm him. No poisoned food and 2 siblings who truly loved him. Naruto was happy with his new life, but even happiness can easily be shortened. He knew he had to be wary of showing his abilities. Today was the day Naruto was going to be enrolled in Ninja Academy. The young boy was currently sitting at the table eating breakfast that consisted of eggs, bacon and pancakes courtesy of using the cook copy ability with Roxas and Alucard sitting on either side of him. Do you really have to go? A young little boy's voice spoke as it echoed from Roxas. Yeah, I have to. If I'm going to be a ninja, then I'll have to go to the academy. Naruto answered. When will you be back? A young male voice from Alucard asked. I'm only going to be there for a few hours, but I'll come back immediately. I've been working out the kinks on the teleporter, so it won't take me so long to get back here. Naruto answered as his two siblings were merely unsure. Can we use the ghost copy ability and follow you to the academy? Don't want to be away from Big Brother. Roxas asked as Naruto almost spat out his glass of orange juice. But what if someone dispels your illusion? I don't want anything bad to happen to any of you. Naruto answered. They can only break through genjutsus. Not pure invisibility, big bro. Alucard stated as Naruto hit his head on the table muttering stupid. He looked at his brothers to notice they were doing that damn jutsu again. The jutsu used when they wanted to get their way. The dreadful puppy dog eyes jutsu. Alucard doing it was adorable and cruel, but Roxas surpassed them all that it was inhumane. Naruto broke like a twig. Alright, just stop. I can't handle those eyes. You can come with me, but you have to stay invisible the whole time and to not cause any trouble. If you're good, we'll go out and do some pranks together, then enjoy some Ichiraku ramen. Naruto spoke as those puppy eyes were gone and were replaced with joy and excitement. Yay! Ramen! 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 The duo cheered as Naruto chuckled and watched them run off to the copy ability room. Not even 2 minutes later, the duo had came back in their ghost-like forms. Roxas was covered by a white ethereal sheet as you couldn't see anything from him except for phantasmal ears and tail and glowing blue eyes. Alucard was completely different as his body was made out of white flames linked together as his fangs, ears, tail and eyes were pure orange flames, giving him an almost menacing appearance. Geez, you guys are quick. Let me get changed into my clothes and we'll head out. Naruto spoke as he finished eating and went to get dressed. He came out a few minutes later wearing a blue shirt, orange and black striped coat over the shirt, blue jeans, type of pants that currently don't exist in the ninja world since it's made from a different fabric than they typically use, blue combat sandals and visor like black shades around his neck. Alright team, let's move out. Naruto spoke with a smile as his two ghost-like siblings became invisible and disappeared out of sight along with the young blonde. Naruto appeared in front of the gates to the forest he called home and headed for the academy with his ghostly siblings following him from the distance. The young blonde continued his way through the village, earning looks from the villagers and hearing their faint whispers. Look, it's the demon. Why is it so happy? Someone needs to put that monster in its place. Multiple whispers echoed through the crowd of people only for a harsh gust to blast past them, knocking purses and small objects into the air while sending women's dresses and skirts up quickly. This was the result of Roxas and Alucard rushing past the people and manipulating the air to make a great gust of wind. They didn't like anyone disrespecting their older brother. It took a while before Naruto had made it to the academy doors and entered the building. He was walking when he noticed a familiar face. It was a pale-skinned girl with white eyes and short lavender hair, at least a few inches shorter than him, wearing a light brown coat, black anbu pants and black combat sandals. This was Hinata Hyuga. Hinata was known to be very shy due to the nature of her clan being stuck up almost like the Uchiha clan but on a lesser scale. He remembered the day that Hinata was kidnapped by Kumo ninja 2 years ago. It was back when he was still training in his transformation powers. The fight was tough, but he was able to use the sturdiness of his Star Warrior form to withstand the ninja's punishments and held them off until the Anbu could arrive. No one knew about his transformation other than Hinata. After that, Hinata and him became friends. Today he wanted to introduce Hinata to his two siblings after school today and show her around the hidden fox. Naruto also had a few other friends as well, but not as close as Hinata. There was Kiba, Shikamaru and Choji too. Hey Hinata. Naruto spoke, getting the young Hyuga's attention. Hey N Naruto. How are you this morning? Hinata stuttered. I'm doing fine Hinata. Do you want to come over to my home after class? There's something I want to show you. Naruto answered. Sorry, but I'm busy today. How about Saturday? Hinata replied. Okay, Naruto said as Hinata blushed as they walked in. The classroom had multiple students sitting down and waiting for the teacher. Naruto easily saw his friend Shikamaru, who is seen with narrow dark brown eyes and black pineapple hair. Choji was a little chubby with brown hair and Kiba with wild brown hair, slit pupil-like eyes, red marks under his eyes and canine-like fangs. "Hey Naruto, what's with the new threads?" Choji asked curiously. "I thought of a little change in what I wear is all." "Do you like them?" Naruto asked. "They're okay," Shikamaru answered lazily. "They look better than what you used to wear." Kiba answered. "They are pretty nice. The pants are a nice touch." Choji spoke as he munched on some chips. The group began to chat for a while until they came into the room. Naruto's former siblings, as he refers to them, Menma and Naruko, had walked in. After being trained and cared for by their parents, both of them became spoiled rotten. Menma was arrogant, cocky and rude to everyone and always claiming certain things like girls as his, an attitude problem and a show-off, while Naruko was cold and spoiled, usual having a fit when she didn't get what she want and didn't respect those she thinks are lower than her. Naruto has been avoiding them and the rest of the Uzumaki and Namikaze family as much as he could. He didn't want to be involved with those child neglectors and bullies. "Great, here comes the village's so-called saviors. More like spoiled brats other than you, Naruto," Kiba whispered. "Troublesome." Shikamaru spoke annoyed. Naruto simply glared at his siblings, as Alucard and Roxas looked at them with hate-filled eyes when Alucard had a devilish smirk on his face and whispered something to Roxas, who also got a devilish smirk. The two had a plan and unsuspecting targets. Alucard was the first one up and his target was Menma. Menma was walking towards the seats heading to where Hinata was sitting at. Alucard flew in front of him, placed a custard pie on the ground and then tripped Menma's leg, causing the redhead to fall and his face land in the plate full of custard. At that time, Roxas flew over to Naruko and let loose a strong gust that caused the girl to spin while her dress flew upwards, showing her panties to the boys before she fell to the ground in a daze, the same time Menma had fallen by these invisible pranksters. It was completely silent for a few seconds before the whole class bursted into laughter at the twins' misfortune, while Naruto merely kept a calm face but was laughing on the inside with Kurama. "I love those kids so damn much. Bawahahahaha." Kurama howled in laughter. The two got up as Menma wiped the custard off his face and Naruko pulled her skirt down as both were completely pissed. "Which one of you did that? Step up now so I can beat the living crap out of you." "Data bye," Menma shouted in hurry as no one came forward. "Yeah, no one can treat us like that. Dat base," Naruko screeched. Naruto merely rolled his eyes at them. "Serves them right," Naruto muttered as Menma and Naruko heard what he said and glared at him. "What did you just say?" Menma yelled. "I said serves you right, jackass." Naruto hissed as Menma had fury in his eyes. "What did you say? I'm going to beat your sorry ass," Menma shouted as he ran towards Naruto with his fist cocked back for a punch. The blonde easily saw the attack coming and dodged to the side before delivering a devastating haymaker to the redhead's face, sending him flying into a desk hard. "What did you say, Naruto asked before sitting down as their teacher Iruka walked into the classroom. Iruka had tan skin, brown hair in a ponytail, and a scar on the bridge of his nose, wearing a blue and green Chunin outfit. "Menma and Naruko Uzumaki Namikaze, go sit down. Class is about to begin." Iruka spoke as the two snarled and took their seats. "Alright, my name is Iruka and I'll be your teacher for the next 4 years. I'm going to call out names and I want you to answer when your name is called." Iruka spoke, taking a notebook. "Many names later. Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze?" Iruka asked. "Here, but it's Naruto Vargas now. I don't want to share a name with bullies and child neglectors, especially since they denounced me as clan heir." Naruto spoke as Iruka visibly flinched while Naruko and Menma were pissed. "How dare he change his name? He already changed his hair color, but now that bastard is disowning us. I'll kill him," Menma thought angrily. "That piece of shit changed his name? Who cares about him? He's not being trained by mom and dad, so he is nothing but a nobody. I'll show him that he deserves to be forgotten, but first I need to find out where he's been hiding at." Naruko thought. "I'm going to have to talk to the Hokage and Kushina about this." Iruka thought. "Alright, first thing we're going to do is a little sparring session. I want to see how much you know about taijutsu or hand-to-hand combat. Then we'll go from there. So everyone head up to the roof." Iruka spoke as the class and him left for the roof with an invisible Alucard and Roxas following. A few minutes later, everyone was now standing on the roof, which had multiple sparring areas for the students to use. Alright, we'll be having one-on-one sparring matches. I'll call on 2 names and those people will get into the arena. No jutsu or weapons are allowed. First 2 are Naruto Vargas and Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze. Will you please come up? Iruka spoke as the 2 of them entered the ring. I hope you're ready to get beaten, Dobi. Naruko spoke as she got into one of the Uzumaki's fighting stances. Don't get cocky. Naruto spoke as he placed his left leg bent forward and his right back, his left and right arms in front with his hands in a position almost like he was wielding claws. Next battle stance from the first game. What's that stance? I never seen it before. Menma and Naruko thought surprised. I never seen this stance before. It seems to be an offensive one bearing from the hands and fingers being positioned like claws, but it screams defensive too. Iruka thought as he stated Hajime, it means start or begin. Naruko charged towards Naruto as she let loose a powerful punch only for Naruto to dodge and counter-attack with a roundhouse kick, knocking the girl off her feet but not out. Naruko recovered and went in with a haymaker, but Naruto merely ducked and delivered a speedy uppercut, sending her into the air. Naruko immediately went for a downward kick but was grabbed by Naruto and tossed away from him. She was about to land on the ground when Naruto ran at her with incredible speed with his right hand in a claw-like motion before slashing at her face, sending her flying out of the circle and onto the ground. The whole class was stunned at the display of strength and ferocity Naruto just portrayed. The winner is Naruto Vargas. Iruka stated with surprise as Naruto smiled while Alucard and Roxas were dancing with joy by Naruto's victory. Naruko had gotten up off the ground and she had a big scratch mark across the right side of her face to the bottom left from Naruto's attack. It looks like you've been used as a scratching post. Kiba chuckled as Naruko took a mirror out and looked at her face before screaming. "Ah, my beautiful face. You're going to pay for that, Dobi." Naruko shouted as she attempted to attack Naruto only to be stopped by Iruka. "That's enough, Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze. Naruto won fair and square, and I'm not going to allow you to attack any of your classmates outside of spars. Or do I have to tell your mother and father about this?" Iruka threatened as Naruko flinched and glared at Naruto with rage while Hinata, Choji, Shikamaru and Kiba congratulated the blonde. "I'm going to find out what you're hiding, Naruto. And when I do, I'll take it from you and show everyone that you are nothing but a worthless loser." Naruko thought as Menma had similar thoughts. After the sparring matches were over, the rest of the school time went over quickly as everyone was hiding back home. Naruto was walking home with his ghostly siblings following him, but he knew that someone was following him and he knew who. "Looks like Naruko and Menma are stalking me. I'm not letting those bastards find out about my brothers or the hidden fox. It's time I ditch them." Naruto thought as he looked at Roxas and Alucard, who nodded. Naruto made a turn to a dead-end alley as his stalkers were currently following him. He's heading for a dead end. He's ours now, Menma thought with a wicked grin on his face as they ran towards the alley. "Time to talk, Naruto?" Naruko asked as when they made it to the dead end to notice Naruto wasn't there, like he just vanished. "Where the hell did he go?" Menma yelled as they were frantically looking for the blonde. Unknown to them that Naruto was floating above them as his body was made out of ghostly orange and white wisps, signifying that he turned into ghost form, while his clothes were nothing but a orange and white shredded cloak. "Huh, they ain't getting anything from me," Naruto thought as his siblings snickered at his former siblings before flying off to the Hokage's monument with fox-like grins on their faces. Meanwhile at the Hokage's office, Minato was currently facing the greatest enemy to all ninja, even Hokages. The dreadful and most evil thing to possibly exist. Paperwork. He was currently stamping papers and burning papers that were marriage proposals to his 8-year-old daughters. He took a glance at a photo hanging from his desk. It was a family picture of him, Kushina, Naruko and Menma smiling, but at the very back corner of the photo you could see a lonely Naruto frowning. This picture served as a reminder to his awful treatment towards Naruto. Something his sensei Jiraiya mentioned when wanting to see Naruto a few years ago, but the blonde was gone at the time. Then he heard a knock on his door. "Come in." Minato spoke as his wife and 2 other children walked in, but he noticed an angry look on Kushina's face along with a huge scratch mark across Naruko's face. What happened to your face, Naruko? Who did this to you so I can punish them?" Minato asked as he ran over to his daughter. Naruto did this to me. Naruto spoke, shocking Kushina and Minato. What? Naruto did this to you? Minato asked as Naruto and Menma explained what occurred during the spar, including Naruto's battle stance, following him but only to have him disappear, and Naruto's name change and reason. Kushina and Minato weren't happy hearing this about Naruto. Were we really neglecting Naruto? If then, it explains the memories we have without a single Naruto in them, but I wonder who's been training our son and where was he for all this time? Minato thought, only for him and his wife's eyes to suddenly dull before becoming bright again. Something was up, but what was it? Today was Saturday, and the very day Naruto was going to introduce his friend Hinata to his siblings. He'd been waiting for this day for so long that he couldn't hold his excitement. He did give Roxas and Alucard a warning that Hinata will go nuts when it came to something cute. Roxas was downright adorable and Alucard was uniquely cute in his small state. They were basic targets for women. Naruto had gotten dressed and fixed his brothers their meals before setting off to the Hyuga compound. Ever since he rescued Hinata, the Hyuga clan were kind enough to allow him access to the compound so he could visit. It was also due to when Hinata's mother Hitomi was pregnant with her second child and was slowly dying. Roxas and Alucard managed to create a medicine to heal her pain and allowed her to survive the childbirth. He was more than welcomed. They even let him train or just spend some time there if his parents weren't paying attention or training him, which was always. Naruto then and there had decided to make a rule to himself. If his parents were going to ignore him, then he would ignore his parents except Minato when it came to mission assignments or when called to his office for an important matter. His siblings, however, was another story. They were spoiled rotten and treated everyone that they didn't like as garbage, including him and anyone who was friends with him. They were his enemies and he wasn't going to let them get away with it either. He was on his way to meet up with Hinata to only notice a nasty scene that made his blood boil. Naruto's cronies, including the pink-haired baboon Sakura, were picking on Hinata. Every time Hinata tried to get away, the girls would corner or shove her. He hated Sakura to no end. She was an annoying banshee who tried every chance she got to get herself involved with his former family and the Uchiha clan. It wasn't simple lovesickness either. Just like her mother and father, Sakura was very greedy and believing marrying into either clan will grant her every wish. She saw Naruto as threat that needed to be removed, and the same was spoken for Naruto. He had to be wary of her, but Hinata came first. "Hey, leave her alone," Naruto shouted as he used his teleporter to appear in front of Hinata. "Naruto-kun," Hinata spoke, surprised yet happy to see her friend. One of his eyes was glowing red since he was using transformation jutsu to hide his new appearance except for his clothes. He was using his devil's stare at Hinata's attacker. Ever since using the synchro, hidden abilities he had started to awaken with him. Devil's stare was the power within his red eye, able to hit his targets with images of their worst nightmares by manipulating their sight and brainwaves. Weak-minded people will faint while the strong-willed will be paralyzed to being knocked unconscious for hours with nightmares. A lot of the weak-minded girls fainted while Naruto and Sakura were knocked unconscious, foaming at the mouth. Naruto halted his ability to look at Hinata. "Hinata, are you alright?" Naruto asked as Hinata was in awe of how Naruto took care of the bullies before nodding. "I'm fine. Naruto-kun, what did you do to them? I didn't see you move or anything," Hinata asked. "I'll explain it soon, but not here. There's something I want to show you." Naruto offered, reaching his hand out to Hinata. "Sure, Naruto-kun, I would love to." Hinata spoke with a blush, accepting Naruto's hand. "Hold on, my princess." Naruto spoke with a smile on his face as he activated his teleporter, warping himself and Hinata to the entrance of the hidden fox. "Naruto-kun, where are we?" Hinata asked, only for Naruto to lead her into the hidden fox. She was amazed seeing the inside of the ship as it felt so alien to her, but in a good way. "Big brother is back." A familiar voice shouted as Hinata and Naruto found themselves face to face with the two bundles of energy known as Roxas and Alucard. Hinata's brain had stopped working when she saw the younger Fox brothers. "Are you okay?" Roxas asked, only for Hinata to scream kawaii and hug the two relentlessly. Naruto had to stifle a laugh while Kurama had bursted out laughing. "Bawahaha, this is so rich. I'm lucky you also serve as a living camera. Go help your brothers before they melt from embarrassment." Kurama chuckled. "Hinata-heim, Please let go of my brothers cause I don't think they could breathe right now. Naruto said as Hinata heard his words and let the poor youngsters go as they were taking in all the air they could. Even though I don't have lungs and don't need oxygen, I thought I was going to suffocate to death. Roxas wheezed. I'm so sorry. I got carried away. Wait, do you say brothers? Hinata asked curiously, noticing that tidbit of information. Naruto then explained everything that happened from when he ran away to the Forest of Death to living with Roxas and Alucard. Then he dropped his illusion, showing his new look to Hinata. He didn't expect Hinata's reaction to his new form. It makes you truly unique and special, was the answer he got from her, and that was all he needed. Naruto, you are a very kind and sweet person to take care of Alucard and Roxas for their father's sake. I wish I could do something incredible like that, but the clan elders don't really accept me at all. Hinata explained sadly. Don't let them try and get you down, Hinata. I know you are strong. If someone is stronger than you, then you should get stronger than them. They don't have the thing you got, which is heart and spirit. Naruto stated. Yeah, Big Brother told us how strong-willed and kind you are, and that's real power. You shouldn't let those old coots get their way with you. Alucard explained, folding his arms. Yeah, we'll help you. A friend of our brother is our friend too. Roxas stated, standing proud. Thank you guys. You all are so sweet, but how should we do this? Hinata asked kindly. I knew. We should try to the battle room. Roxas stated as he leapt into the air and stood on the table. Battle room? Hinata asked curiously. Follow us. Alucard stated as the duo lead their hybrid brother and human friend to a different room. They were led to a mostly empty room except for the one strange machine in the center which looked like an arcade game with a card slot in it. This is the battle room, also known as the battle simulator. Daddy Aldous discovered this room when he was living here. Apparently whoever designed this room had faced a lot of foes and somehow managed to store their essence inside this machine. Something special happens when you beat a level of the machine. Why don't you guys give it a try? Alucard explained. Sounds like a good idea. Let's try it, guys. Naruto stated. I agree as well. This will help me get stronger too. Hinata stated as Naruto went up to the machine. He activated the machine, showing tons of bars listing levels. Most of them were blacked out except for the one on the top that said level 1. It listed the picture of a jester-like creature similar to Roxas in cuteness, with a long blue cap, blue shirt with white collar, no legs and 2 long yellowish-green shoes that were pointed, a red lion with a flaming mane and tail, and a mysterious shadow figure showing a forest. It also said there was prize, but the prize was shadowed and had X3 next to it. The title of it was Forest Terror, and the objective was to defeat 2 mini-bosses and boss. It also listed 4 copy abilities that was available. These copy abilities were Fire, Cutter and Sword. Alright, Forest of Terror. Defeat the boss. Let's go. Naruto shouted, tapping the level. The entire room glowed brightly, blinding the group before transforming into what seemed to be a bright plain-like area with a forest up ahead, but they didn't recognize their location and where the room taken them. Where are we, Naruto-kun? Hinata asked curiously, looking around at the environment. We activated the battle simulation, so it took us somewhere. There's the forest, which is no doubt our destination. Naruto explained. Naruto, Roxas and Hinata look. Alucard shouted as he pointed to 3 copy abilities before them. They were Fire, Cutter and Sword. Those are copy pedestals. We can use that to power ourselves up. Naruto stated. I'll take Cutter. Roxas stated as he touched the pedestal, transforming into Cutter Roxas, who wore a winged cap with a blade like boomerang going through the top. I'll take Sword. Naruto stated as he touched the copy pedestal, and watch as his clothes took the attire of a swordsman with a green tunic, white pants, blue belt, green pointy cap, white shirt underneath the tunic, green fingerless gloves, and brown boots wielding a broadsword. I'll fight with no copy ability this turn. Alucard stated as the copy pedestals disappeared. Kit, something is heading your way. Prepare yourself. Kurama warned as Naruto told the group, and they readied themselves for a fight. Suddenly the jester shown earlier, standing at 10 feet in size, appeared before them and took out a bomb. A red gauge appeared above them where the jester was saying Poppy Bros Sr. I bet that gauge up there must be how much damage this guy can take. So let's knock it down to 0. Naruto claimed as the battle begun. Poppy created a couple of bombs and began hurling them at the 4, forcing the young children to dodge the explosions. Hinata quickly activated her Byakugan and charged forward and delivering palm strikes to the monster and retreated back before it could bomb her up close. The gauge had went down by a fifth of its percentage. "Here I come," Roxas shouted as he removed the blade from his hat and tossed it like boomerang slamming into Poppy before he caught and delivered multiple slashes to the bomber, dropping the health bar by a fourth. Poppy began to get faster and change his style of attack, leaping across the area and sending forth bombs towards the four kids. "My turn," Alucard shouted as he called upon more relics into his body and began to form a spiral barrier around his brothers and friends, keeping the bombs from exploding and harming everyone inside. Then with a mighty push he shoved the relic barrier outwards, striking the capped bomber and putting him into a daze while a fourth of his life gauge remained. Naruto took that moment to charge forth with his blade drawn and began to unleash multiple slashes, whittling away at Poppy's health before leaping into the air. He held his sword down and pierced it through on his way to the ground, finishing off Poppy as the health bar vanished. Naruto took a step back from Poppy as it transformed into the bomb copy star. "Anyone feel about using the bomb copy star before we advance?" Naruto asked as Hinata stepped forward. "May I try, Naruto-kun?" Hinata asked curiously. "I don't know if it'll work, but go ahead and try," Naruto stated as Hinata touched the star. The star flew into Hinata as her outfit changed into a punk attire with black jacket with white collar, blue pants, black shoes and a green and blue hat with a white cuff holding a black star appeared on her head. "It worked," Hinata stated, summoning a bomb in her hand and explosive tags. "I'll have to look into this later, but we are about to advance," Alucard stated as they found themselves in the forest with a big flaming lion blocking their path with another health gauge, but this time reading Fire Lion. "Great, a fire lion. Let's show this flaming hairball who's boss," Naruto shouted as the battle begun. The fire lion pounced towards them in the form of a lion-shaped fireball, causing the group to leap away from the flaming feline. "Kit, whenever it charges, have it ram into a tree or wall. The impact will stun this nibby rip-off," Kurama advised as Naruto nodded, launching himself forward with his blade, focusing energy into the blade. "Sword beam," the orange blonde shouted, releasing a powerful energy slash from his sword, hitting the lion. Roxas hurled his boomerang at the feline only for it to leap in the air and slash at him repeatedly, knocking his copy ability away. "Leave my brother alone," Alucard shouted as he took Roxas' copy ability into himself as his claws turned into boomerang blades along with segments of his tail and ears. He fired his claws at Fire Lion, forcing him to let go of Roxas, who countered by extending his claws and slashed the lion's face up before Hinata tossed multiple bombs at the lion, blowing up when it came into contact. The lion's gauge was already cut in half as it let loose a roar and the fire covering its body grew even hotter. It let loose a huge breath of flames at the group in fury. Naruto quickly created a barrier around his friends, protecting them from the blaze. The lion charged, turning itself into a flaming fireball. "Jump!" Naruto shouted as they jumped into the air, letting the lion crash into a tree, knocking it out cold. "Now let loose your attacks," Naruto shouted as they started striking the unconscious Fire Lion and quickly draining the beast's gauge away. This time Hinata threw an onslaught of bombs that tore into the beast until it exploded, leaving the fire copy ability in its place. "I'll take that, since that cat robbed me of my ability and used me as a scratching post," Roxas stated, absorbing the ability, causing a gold tiara with green jewel with flames erupting from it to appear on his head, his skin to take a hint of red and his tail to transform into flames. "Now for the final boss," Alucard shouted as they found themselves deep in the woods. Blocking their path was a big tree with a huge grasp of leaves surrounding them. Suddenly a pair of eyes and mouth appeared on the tree, surprising the group. It howled angrily as a purple long health gauge appeared above it, reading Wispy Woods. "So our last opponent is a living tree. Let's make firewood out of this chump," Naruto shouted as the battle begun. Giant apples and spike balls began to form on the tree branches before dropping towards Naruto and his team, forcing them to scatter. Naruto spun into a circle motion with his sword out, turning into a slicing spinball that cut against Wispy's tough trunk, while Roxas let loose a fire breath, scorching the tree. Wispy retaliated by letting out a huge gust of air, blowing the two brothers away from him. Hinata quickly caught the two before they ended up crashing into the forest life. Alucard quickly fired off his claws while Hinata had thrown some explosive tags towards the giant tree. Wispy was then assaulted by explosions and blades, doing quite a bit of damage to the tree. Razor-sharp roots shot out of the ground, no doubt from Wispy, causing the group to scatter to avoid being impaled by the roots. "Take this," Roxas shouted as he turned himself into a fireball and rammed himself into Wispy, while Naruto had let loose another sword beam, reducing the health bar down to 1/2. Wispy wasn't happy as he grew until he was twice his size and was glaring heavily at the four. "You've got to be kidding me. Won't this damn tree stay down?" Naruto shouted, annoyed. Wispy moved his trunk closer before beginning to inhale, trying to suck in the Fox brothers and Hinata. "No way in hell are we getting eaten by a tree," Roxas shouted as they held onto the ground to avoid being caught in Wispy's suction. "Hinata, toss some of your bombs," Naruto shouted. "Got it," Hinata shouted as she let loose some bombs and explosive seals from her pockets. The explosive were sucked in as Wispy began chewing on them before they exploded in his mouth, dropping his health all the way down to 100. "Time to end this," Naruto shouted as he tossed his sword at Wispy while ending his power-up. The sword smashed into the tree, dropping the health bar to 0, causing Wispy to shrink and let out a tear as 3 cards flown from him towards Naruto. The cards each held a picture of either Poppy Bros Sr., Fire Lion and Wispy Woods. Then a voice was heard. It came from Wispy. "You did well to defeat us. Your task has been complete. We'll assist you through those cards. Take this final gift from me. My power shall be yours." Wispy spoke as he transformed into a pair of green leaf-patterned gloves with brown wood fingers and Wispy's emblem on the top. Naruto took the gloves as the simulation had ended and they found themselves back at the Hidden Fox with their copy abilities gone. "That was incredible. We are all awesome, especially you, Hinata," Naruto shouted excitedly as Hinata was surprised. "I agree. We couldn't have handled those bosses, especially Wispy, without Hinata's help," Alucard stated. "I agree completely," Roxas shouted as Hinata was shocked before she had a big smile form on her face. "Thank you everyone, but I couldn't do it with you guys either. We worked and won as a team together," Hinata answered, getting a smile from everyone. "Hey guys, look," Roxas stated as he pointed at the machine. 3 packs of cards came from the card slot and what seemed to be a picture. "Card packs? Let's open them up," Naruto stated as he handed a pack to Roxas and Alucard while opening himself a pack. The cards consisted of picture of either characters, powers and what seemed to be a type of warp star design. Naruto had pulled out a few character and power cards along with a warp star card. "Hey look guys," Hinata spoke, calling them over. She was holding a picture of the 4 standing in front of a cheering Poppy, Fire Lion and Wispy Woods with smiles on their faces, as there was a caption hanging on the top that read "Congratulations" in rainbow font. The group smiled at the sight. After going a few more rounds in the battle ring, Naruto gave Hinata a ride on the Fox Star. The Fox Star was an orange star that was stylized to look like a fox with 4 points resembling a limb each with red-bladed claws, and the front tip was a fox head and the back had 3 streamer-like foxtails at the end of it. It was big enough for the two to ride. They were currently flying above the village amongst the bright sunset. "How are you liking the ride, Hinata-heim?" Naruto asked with a smile on his face while Hinata sat behind him. "I love it, Naruto-kun. It's beautiful up here," Hinata answered with a smile on her face. "I'm glad you like the view. Whenever I felt down, I always watched the village on top of the Hokage monument, seeing the sunset or the sunrise. I always wondered what it would be like to fly into the sky and feel the wind flowing through my face. It always made me feel free, almost as if I could do anything," Naruto explained. "Naruto-kun," Hinata answered. "I came to the monument often when my parents started neglecting me for my siblings. It was the only way for me to calm down since I didn't have that many friends. Then I met you, Hinata, and my brothers. I realized I wasn't alone anymore. You guys didn't make feel alone anymore," Naruto explained as Hinata was surprised before smiling. "I feel the same way as well, Naruto. If you hadn't protected me, then I would have ended up in Kumo having unspeakable things done to me, and you did it once more from Naruko and her gang. You gave me courage and you helped me feel strong. You saved my mother from dying. You and your brothers are amazing. I want to grow strong so I could unite my clan and free them from the caged bird seal, but also protect those precious to me," Hinata stated as it was Naruto's turn to be surprised before he smiled proudly. Then let's get stronger together. So we can accomplish our dreams and protect the ones we love. Naruto shouted with fire in his eyes. They flew around the village for a good few times before descending to the Hyuga compound. Naruto had let Hinata get off the star. Thanks for the ride and everything, Naruto-kun. Today was really fun, Hinata answered. You're welcome, my princess. If you ever want to come visit, then tell me. My brothers and I would love to have you over. Until then, Naruto spoke. Good night, Naruto. Hinata answered. And good night to you, my princess. Naruto said, kissing Hinata on the cheek before flying back to the hidden fox. Today was a good day. It has been 4 years since Naruto and his brothers had revealed their secret to Hinata. The girl has been visiting the three brothers since, whether to train in the battle room or spending some time with the trio. Thanks to the brothers, Hinata got over her shyness and her will grew strong. Naruto had also began to make more friends in the forms of the Shikamaru, Ino, Choji, Shino, Kiba, Tenten, Lee and Anko Mitarashi, who was special Junin and the one who was in charge of the Forest of Death. Anko had known about Naruto sneaking away into the Forest of Death every day, along with knowing about his siblings before anyone else. She hated how Naruto was treated by his family and glad he found a place where he belonged amongst Roxas and Alucard. He was very grateful to her and she promised to keep anyone from knowing about his new family or his secrets. Naruto hadn't seen his parents or gotten anywhere near the Namikaze estate over the years, as well avoiding his former family to no end. Minato and Kushina hadn't even noticed he was still missing from the estate. He easily wondered how many years would it take for them to realize he left their home and has been living in the Forest of Death for years. He stayed away from Naruto and Menma since he didn't want anything to do with them. Naruto still wore a genjutsu when he went out since he didn't want anyone to notice his new look until he felt ready to show it. The same thing also went for his brothers, who wanted to get stronger before revealing themselves to the village when Naruto passed the academy exam. So the three of them trained and worked hard each day to be ready when the time will come. Naruto invented new gadgets for use on the field. They worked on their stealth since Orange draws a lot of attention to themselves. They boosted their speed, worked on their strength, endurance, strategies, knowledge and brand new techniques to do separately or together. When they weren't training, they were relaxing and doing things together. Now time had finally come and the trio were ready to face it together. It was early in the morning as the sun began to rise over the village. Standing above the tallest branch and the tallest tree in the Forest of Death were Naruto, Roxas and Alucard. Alucard had decided to introduce some relics into his body, so he took the form of a young teenage version of himself that stood at 5 feet 6 with a metal plate on the block that represented his neck with a leaf carved into it. Roxas had grown a few inches as his claws were visible now. His whisker marks were broader. His eyes were now sharp with intelligence and wisdom. He wore a silver tail ring and a blue bandana on his head with his ears poking out, and it was adorned with a metal faceplate that had a leaf symbol carved into it. Naruto, however, had grown the most. Due to the synchro and a healthy diet, the boy had grown like a weed. He stood at 5 feet 11 with a lean and muscular build. His face was devoid of any baby fat. His fangs had grown and the ones that peeked from his mouth were now 2 inches in length. His hair was long, reaching halfway to his back and turned orange in color with yellow streaks going at the tips. His ears were longer and elven-like. His pupils were now slits. His whisker marks were broader. His nails had claws and his pupils almost glowed in the light. He wore the same coat but was now longer to hide his size, a black shirt, black pants, his visor, the wispy gloves he got from the battle room, a kunai pouch and card holster holding a deck of cards in it. "Are you ready, big brother?" Roxas asked. "Yep, I thought it's time for a good old last day prank before we get things started. What do you guys say?" Naruto asked as his answer was in the form of wicked grins from his siblings. Meanwhile at the academy, everyone was seated in class except for Naruto. Iruka was doing roll call, going through the list of students while the class was talking amongst themselves. Everyone is wearing their original Naruto outfits. Menma and Naruto had grown but not their personality or attitudes. Menma was wearing a hideous, kill me, orange and blue jumpsuit and blue sandals with his hair grown a bit longer, while Naruto had her hair loose and wore a red dress with black sandals. Menma was 4 feet 8 and Naruto was 5 feet in height, mainly due to them eating ramen most of the time instead of a balanced diet. The only ones noticing Naruto's absence was his friends, especially Hinata, who was wondering where Naruto could be. "Naruto, where are you?" Hinata thought. "At the Hokage monument. Ready?" Naruto asked as his brothers nodded with a smile on their faces. "Showtime," Naruto stated, clicking a button. A loud boom was heard, putting everyone on high alert, but they didn't expect what they were expecting. The entire Hokage monument had been graffitied. The first Hokage's face was holding a Makeout Paradise novel with an obvious nosebleed and a huge blush on his face. The second Hokage's face was sporting a scowl with buck teeth, black eye and picture of dog crap on his cheek. The third Hokage's face literally cringing at the second with tears coming out of his eyes and a scrunched up face, but the fourth Hokage's face was the worst. The fourth Hokage's face was holding a limited edition black Makeout Paradise book with a massive nosebleed, heart-shaped eyes and the words, "World's Greatest Closet Pervert Trained by Super Pervert," with each head having fireworks going off of them in spectacular fashion. But the real kicker was the painting of a toon fox giving the fourth the middle finger and brandishing a gigantic banner saying, "Home of the Biggest Closet Pervert, Minato Namikaze," with a picture of 3 foxes giving the peace sign. Minato was in his office with an impassive face looking at the graffitied mountain with a big tick mark on his head and a twitching eyebrow. Suddenly multiple explosions of smoke erupted from different parts of the village, but not just any smoke. It was multicolored smoke ranging from blue, pink, orange, red, green, purple and yellow. Shouts echoed through the entire village as each explosion of smoke went off. Standing behind the Hokage were Chunin, who were doing everything they could not to laugh. "Men, I want you to find out who is doing this and report it back to me," Minato stated, but before anyone could move they heard the sound of sizzling. They slowly turned to see a large black bomb with the words, "Surprise motherfuckers," in big white letters. No one had a chance to leave as the bomb exploded, and the only thing they saw was pink, and shouts were heard along with a camera flash. Meanwhile, at a random rooftop, Naruto, Roxas and Alucard were laughing their heads off from the chaos they had all started. "Is that all of the targets?" Alucard asked as Naruto pulled out a map of the village with X's on different locations. "I just unleashed the payload in the Hokage's tower. That is about every ninja and civilian council location done, including clan estates except for the Hyuga, whose targets are the elders and a few members of the Uchiha who aren't arrogant pricks," Roxas stated. "The only thing missing is a specific person," Naruto stated as they suddenly heard a voice that raised a chill up their spine. "Naruto?" A familiar voice spoke as they turned around to see Iruka was standing behind him looking absolutely peeved. "That's who?" Naruto shouted as all of a sudden Iruka found his cheeks kissed by Roxas and Alucard and his lips kissed by Naruto before the three scattered. "Naruto!" Iruka howled as he went after the trio. 15 minutes later at the academy. Everyone at the academy had settled down after the giant prank set loose on the village. They were wondering who had set it off when the door had flung open. Iruka walked in holding a rope in his hands connected to a tied-up Naruto, Roxas and Alucard, who had big grins on their faces. They were surprised that it was Naruto who pulled it off, but were confused on the 2 strange creatures that one of their instructors had dragged in. The only one who wasn't confused or was rather annoyed was Sasuke Uchiha. Sasuke was also an enemy that Naruto had made over the years. The boy was an arrogant prick who thought being an Uchiha made him one of the elites. He always fought with Naruto over the spot of Rookie of the Year. He had been trying to find out Naruto's secrets since and tried to steal those secrets for himself, but he always failed in his attempts, either to the orange blonde disappearing from sight or his refusal to spill. He figured that the 2 creatures that were tied up with Naruto had something to do with his sudden change in skill set. Then Mizuki had walked in. The man was covered in head to toe with pink paint that even drenched through his underwear, and he looked extremely peeved. He also hated Naruto, but had the same reason as most of the villagers. Since Naruto held the soul of the fox, the villagers treated him like garbage, believing he was the fox reborn, and thought if they hurt Naruto then they were hurting the fox as well. "Iruka, someone pranked the entire village," Mizuki shouted. "Yeah, and I caught the prankster or pranksters red-handed," Iruka stated, pointing to the tied-up Fox brothers. Mizuki glared at Naruto with pure hatred and to his siblings as well, not that he knew, of course. "Alright Naruto, explain yourself, and who are the 2 with you?" Iruka asked. "Sure, I decided that for my last day before graduating that I should test my skills by pranking the entire ninja force of Konohana, including the 4th Hokage. The two with me are my brothers. Naruto answered, getting a gasp from everyone as the trio broke through their bindings and dusted themselves off. Hello, my name is Roxas and it's nice to meet you guys. I hope you like the show we put on for you. Roxas stated, doing a flip and finishing it with a clawed peace sign. And my name is Alucard. It's nice to meet you soon-to-be graduates of Brother Naruto's class. We heard about you guys from Naruto and decided to join in on the fun with a last day prank to end all pranks. As for our connection to your classmate, other than being brothers, we are mainly his companions to assist him in the trials ahead. If Iruka was the only one who managed to catch us, then a lot of the ninja need to work triple time on their duties except for Iruka. He deserves a promotion in my opinion. Alucard explained as he bowed to the class and Iruka. Don't worry about the paint, Iruka-sensei. I made sure that the paint will fade away in an hour after use, so no one will have to wash the stuff off, but if you don't want to wait, then use water and some soap and it'll vanish in minutes. I may be a prankster, but I don't make my pranks complete hell. Naruto stated. Fine, just go take a seat. Iruka stated as Naruto went to go sit next to Hinata while Roxas and Alucard stood behind them, causing a big grin to appear on Hinata's face. Naruto knew that the exams consisted of a written test, throwing test, taijutsu, genjutsu and ninjutsu portion to end it off. To say he was overpowered was a bit of an understatement. He spent a lot of times going through all this research in the battle room. He cleared over at least 32 levels, leaving the 19 levels left. He was more than ready for the test. An hour later, he managed to complete every single part of the exam except for the ninjutsu section. The written exam was easy once again due to all this research, and he completed it in 10 minutes tops. During the taijutsu portion, he gave Mizuki an instant ring out with a nice hard kick to the nuts, stunning the Chunin and allowing Naruto to give him a heavy punch out of the ring. The heavy punch was one of Naruto's relican techniques. By concentrating relics and relic energy into the main part of the attack can allow Naruto or Alucard the ability to shatter steel with a single punch, enough to destroy an enemy's shield or guard. Naruto replicated the technique for his human form by charging his entire arm with relic energy. The genjutsu section was easily aced for a good reason. Apparently relicans were immune to illusions and can reflect them back by creating a barrier of relic energy around them. Naruto had done just that and trapped the instructor in his own genjutsu. The throwing portion was a breeze since he practiced sniping using tips and techniques from some of his copy abilities like cutter, ninja and spear. He scored a 10 out of 10 for both portions and aimed for critical spots in the body that will lead to instant death. Now it was time for the ninjutsu portion of the test. The test consisted of performing the transformation, substitution and clone jutsu. Naruto knew if it was only the clone jutsu and no variants could be used, then he would have easily failed. He had too much chakra and not a good amount of chakra control for the clone jutsu, which will result with a pale, dead and sickly clone that was completely worthless, but luckily any variant was allowed for this one. Menma was up. He performed the transformation, turning into a good copy of Minato with a minor error in the eyes. Then he performed the substitution and used the shadow clone jutsu for the clone portion. Naruto did the same thing as Menma but transformed into Kushina with a minor error in the eyes. Now it was Naruto's turn. Alright Naruto, you're up. Iruka stated. Good luck big bro. You got this, was the answer he got from his two brothers as he smiled and walked up to the front. Transform. Naruto shouted as he performed the hand seal and was covered in smoke. He emerged looking like an exact copy of Alucard and with his body not connected like Alucard as well. Incredible. I was already amazed that a being like Alucard existed with his broken up body, but this transformation. It's not an illusion. It's real. Iruka thought, amazed. Naruto performed the substitution as Mizuki threw a paper shuriken at him. Naruto replaced himself with Mizuki with ease while still transformed. Naruto then dropped the transformation and formed multiple hand signs that the class didn't recognize. Mimic clone jutsu. Naruto shouted as burst of chakra expelled from his body, but this chakra was completely different. It was visible. What the hell? I can see his chakra. What the hell is this kid? Mizuki thought with a glare. The chakra formed into clones of Naruto, Alucard, Roxas, Iruka and Hinata. Naruto. What was that jutsu you just did? Iruka asked amazed. It's a jutsu of my own creation. I call it the mimic clone jutsu. By utilizing my unique chakra and special hand signs, I can create chakra clones of myself or anyone I have been in contact with. I have to familiarize myself with the person's chakra in order to create a clone of them, and these clones won't go down unless they suffer a death strike that kills a normal person. So far only I can use this jutsu due to my special chakra. Naruto explained as he dispelled the clones. A lot of the students were either amazed, in awe, or downright jealous of the jutsu that Naruto had created. Roxas and Alucard looked really proud of their older brother. The jutsu was something all three of them had worked together on. It was a way that if they were separated, then they still had each other's back. It was a symbol of their bond. Naruto, Menma, Sakura and Sasuke were seething in rage and jealousy at the technique. How dare he throw me under the bridge with that technique? Adobe, idiot, like him doesn't deserve to use a technique like that. Menma thought in rage. If I have that technique, then I'll be able to defeat anyone who stands in my way and prove to everyone that the Uchiha are the elites. Sasuke thought. If I figure how that technique works and those hand signs, then stealing that jutsu will be a breeze. Sakura thought with a devious grin on her face. A no-clan loser doesn't deserve that technique. I proved to everyone that he deserves to be forgotten. Naruto thought. I'm impressed, Naruto. Very impressed. You definitely earn your headband. Iruka stated as he handed Naruto a black headband. Wait, this is the Rookie of the Year headband. Naruto answered surprised. Well, you've gotten perfect record on all of your classes and tests along with the exam, but that special jutsu you did had given you enough points to top over the other Rookie of the Year candidates, so this special headband is all yours. Iruka stated as Naruto had a big grin on his face. Thank you so much, Iruka-sensei. Naruto said as he gave his sensei a hug and went to his friends. The exams were finished and many of the civilian students had lost their chance in becoming ninja. Naruto and his brothers knew this was just the beginning of their new life as ninja of the Hidden Leaf Village, but had to be careful for every step of the way. Minato was sitting in his office looking at all of his ninja. Apparently all of them were colored in paint from his reports, and the color had finally faded away. He wanted to go see his kids who had graduated from the academy but couldn't because he still have yet to find out who had caused all of the stir. Jiraiya and Kushina were in his office as well while the damages to the monument were being cleaned up. He couldn't believe that no one noticed the smoke and paint bomb in his room before it went off, or the presents that had managed to strip him down to his birthday suit in front of some of his shinobi. He was lucky nothing important was damaged. Let me get this straight. Someone had not only painted the Hokage's monument, they had also pranked about every major clan in Konoha except for most of the Hyuga and a few Uchiha. Not only they had gotten me but found every civilian council and shinobi home and pranked them, and that it was an academy student who had done it, and the only one to catch him, her, was an academy teacher? Minato asked as his shinobi hung their heads in shame. Just get out. Minato stated as every one of them had left the room in shame except for one who he told to stay. If his enemies got word on this incident, then Konoha would become the laughing stock of the entire elemental nations. Can you tell me who did it? Minato asked. It was your son. The Chunin spoke. Minato felt pride for his son Menma for pulling something like this off. Menma did this. Minato stated. No, it was your oldest son Naruto, but he also had some help in the form of two strange creatures. The Chunin explained, earning looks of surprise from Minato, Kushina and Jiraiya. Naruto did this? How? And what did he mean by strange creatures? Kushina thought. Do you have pictures of these strange creatures? Jiraiya asked. More than that, they appeared at the academy and said they were Naruto's companions. Both of them have fox-like attributes. They claim Naruto to be their brother. That's the only connection there is to Naruto, but nothing else. I heard their academy instructor and the one who caught them, Iruka Amino, is holding them until your arrival. The Chunin explained. Thank you. You are dismissed. Minato stated as the Chunin left. Strange fox-like creatures. Maybe Naruto has found himself a summoning contract. Do you know anything about this, Minato, Kushina? Jiraiya asked. No. In fact, we haven't seen Naruto either. Minato stated as a glazed look appeared in his eyes. I bet. After all, you've been focusing your time on Menma and Naruto. When was the last time you even spoke to the boy? Jiraiya asked as he knew something fishy was going on here. I don't remember. Do you, Kushina-chan? Minato asked, looking at his wife. His wife looked like she was going through shock. No, I don't remember seeing or talking to him until that big blowout we had with him. Kushina answered as she also had a glazed look in her eyes. That happened at least 8 years ago. You haven't been paying attention to your own son for 8 years. Jiraiya asked as he knew something was up. No one couldn't pay attention to all but one of their kids for over 8 years unless something had occurred. He noticed the glazed looks in their eyes. Could it be? Jiraiya thought as he placed his hands on Kushina and Minato's necks. I knew it. Time for them to break free. Jiraiya thought as he pushed chakra through his hands into Minato and Kushina. A seal appeared on before their necks before disappearing along with the glazed look. What happened? Minato asked. Someone had placed a seal on your necks to forget your son Naruto. I managed to break them. Jiraiya answered. Then Kushina broke down into tears. I forgot my own son and I couldn't do anything about it. It was like watching through a mirror and I couldn't control myself as I beat him. Kushina sobbed as Minato was just as disturbed because he remembered doing those things to Naruto, and the worst of it, they had done it for 8 years. Who placed that seal on us? Minato asked. I don't know, but they didn't want you to have anything to do with Naruto, but it was elaborate to work and conceal itself but not to withstand a mere insertion of chakra. Jiraiya explained. What are we going to do? Kushina asked as she felt so lost. The best thing to do is try and apologize to Naruto and make things up to him. Try to get him somewhere private and explain about the seal, but other than that be wary. I'll look into the seal and who wants Naruto to be out of the picture. Jiraiya stated as Kushina and Minato had gotten up and reposed themselves. Let's go make things up to Naruto. Minato stated as the two left for the academy while Jiraiya left to investigate. Naruto was sitting in the classroom with Alucard and Roxas since Iruka insisted of them staying behind for some reason. The brothers knew it must have something to do with the Hokage since they had pranked him and his entire ninja force. Hinata wanted to stay behind but Naruto insisted that she should meet up with her family. Since they were the only ones there except for Iruka, Naruto asked if they could play some cards while waiting. Iruka didn't mind, so the four of them were playing cards with each other, not noticing Minato and Kushina entering the room. Wow, you're pretty good at this game, Mr. Iruka. Roxas stated, placing a card down. Why thanks. You and Alucard aren't bad either. I've only played with Naruto when he gets the chance to ask. I should introduce you guys to Shogi. I bet you'll give the Nara clan a run for their money and skills alone. Iruka stated. Well, when you are living on your own with two misfit brothers, then you have a lot of time on your hands. I mean, when I was younger, I always wished to do things with my family like going out, playing board games or even train together. However, it doesn't always work out like it does in fairy tales. Sometimes you're left behind by those closest to you. Naruto spoke. Naruto? Iruka spoke. I remembered that day. After a failed attempt of getting attention, I ran away and found myself into trouble where I could have died. If it wasn't for Roxas and Alucard, then I wouldn't be here today. They made me feel like I truly belong and gave me courage again. In the end, I found the strength to make new friends and the ability to protect them. Naruto stated. Suddenly he found himself being hugged. He thought it was from his brothers, but the hand didn't feel like stone or was stubby, and he knew his brothers didn't have red hair. Kushina was the one hugging him with tears in her eyes. Kushina-sama? Iruka asked, surprised. I'm so sorry, Naruto. I never wanted to forget about you like this. I didn't want to hurt you. Kushina cried as she hugged him even tighter. Suddenly he felt her grip loosen and noticed Naruto was gone. Naruto? She asked before she noticed that Minato and Iruka were looking at something in her lap. It was a yellow-orange puffball like Roxas in species and size, but this one had orange spiky hair that went down his back, two fangs sticking out his mouth, whiskers marks, a black Konohana headband, Naruto's jacket but shortened to fit his size along with his shirt and shoes. Oh God, I felt like I was going to suffocate to death. The puffball stated with Naruto's voice. Naruto? Minato choked as the puffball looked at him with a glare. Who else did you expect, jerk? Naruto stated as he backed away from Kushina, who looked like she was trying to suppress shouting kawaii and hugging him to death. What's going on? Iruka asked. That's just one of Big Bro's transformations. He can transform between 3 forms without the use of hand signs. Alucard stated. Hey, it was either transform or suffocate. Naruto shouted annoyed before transformed back into his human form and dusted himself off. Now what do you two want? Naruto asked coldly, folding his arms. Naruto, we came here to apologize for neglecting you for all these years. You didn't deserve to be thrown to the side, but it wasn't like we had any choice or control of ourselves. Minato explained. Bull, I don't believe you one bit. Naruto stated angrily. We're telling the truth. Someone did something to us and we couldn't control our actions because of it. I never wanted to hurt you at all. Kushina cried. If you are trying to get me back into the family, then you are already too late. I'm not your blood anymore. Naruto stated, surprising the three. What do you mean, Naruto? Iruka asked. Release. Naruto said as he released the genjutsu on himself, showing his new appearance to the three. 8 years ago, after Roxas and Alucard had saved me from getting eaten, they had taken me to their home. It was an old bunker that had been deserted for a very long time. And there were 2 scrolls left behind. The bunker belonged to a man named Aldous Vargas, who was Roxas and Alucard's caretakers and foster father. It explained on everything on how they met and thought of them as family to a special jutsu that could only be used once. The jutsu was to make him just like Alucard and Roxas in order to be closer to them, but he died before he could perform and sealed the duo away to save them from whatever killed him. Naruto began to explain. He asked that whoever read that scroll to take care of Roxas and Alucard and watch over them like their own. In a final act for the man, I performed his special jutsu, the Synchro Jutsu, and infused myself with some of Alucard and Roxas' essence, turning me into a hybrid of all 3 species. After that I lived with Alucard and Roxas in the old bunker all the way to today. Naruto explained. That explains the last name Vargas. You took the last name of their father in respect to him. Iruka stated. Correct. Now you've claimed that for those years that someone was controlling you. I have my doubts, but I know in this world of ninja nothing is impossible with me and my brothers as a prime example. That doesn't mean I forgive you just like that, but your concern is noted. I need some time to think about your words and actions. I'll give you my answer tonight at the top of the Hokage monument. By the way, I suggest you read Naruto's journal. Your daughter and son aren't what you think they are. Also, Mizuki is up to something, so deal with that as well. Naruto stated as him and his brothers vanished before them. The brothers had made it back to the hidden fox without causing any alarms. Naruto had left to his room, leaving a concerned Roxas and Alucard. I've never seen Big Brother like this before. Roxas stated. This is brother's old family. They neglected him for years while his former siblings treated him like garbage. His life was hell compared to ours. Sure, Big Brother is strong, but remember he is still human and humans break easily in more ways than one. Alucard stated. True, Alucard, but I hope he's okay. Do you think what they say is true? That his parents were being controlled? Roxas asked. It'll explain why they didn't notice him leave the house or notice him at all for 8 years. However, this is Naruto's choice, but if I can add my opinion, then he should still try to reconnect with his parents. Sure, they hurt him, but they were concerned and not in control. Father left us because he wanted to protect us. I don't even think we could survive that long without the guidance of parents by our side like Big Brother, but we should at least stand by his decision. Alucard explained. Naruto was lying down on his bed, lost in thought. Kit, are you okay? Kurama's voice echoed through his mind. No, Kurama, I'm not. I don't know what to do. Naruto answered. Still thinking about what they told you today? Well, I believe they were telling the truth. Even I can sense the slightest of dark emotions from them. All I felt was guilt and sorrow. It does explain how even the 4th Hokage and the red-hot habanero didn't notice your disappearance until today, and I know that no human can be that ignorant. Kurama explained. I know. I didn't sense any lies in their words, but I don't know how to react. Half of me just wants to completely forget about them, while the other half wants to at least reconnect with them. Plus there is also my brothers. My choice also affects them, and I want them to at least have parents in a sense, and not until I marry. What should I do, Kurama? Should I forgive them or forget them? Naruto asked. It's not my decision, kid. Follow your heart. Ain't that what you humans say during situations like this? In fact, why don't you head to the battle room? There might be a mission there that might help you clear your mind. You've got until tonight, okay? Just hold on. Kurama explained. Thanks, Kurama. I'll just do that, Naruto said. Alright, kid. I'm going to take a nap. Good luck. Kurama answered as the connection was cut. Naruto walked out of the room and headed to the battle room. He activated the battle simulator and scrolled down through the missions when he noticed one. The mission was in red as in it was important. It read, "Redeem the Fallen Queen," and the reward listed one unique pack of cards and a mystery prize. There was only 2 enemies to defeat. Redeem the Fallen Queen? I guess I'll do this one. Naruto spoke as he activated the level. He soon found himself in a palace located high above the sky. There was a big red door to the right of him along with 4 copy abilities. Bell, Beetle, Circus and Archer, but there was something else next to the copy abilities. It seemed to be a scroll. With curiosity he took it and began to read. If you are reading this scroll, then you are about to go against Sectonia. You need to know this before you go off to face her. Sectonia and I lived high above the clouds on multiple floating islands. We were best friends and care for each other. We were unique amongst our people because we could perform magic unlike any kind witness. Mine was puppeteer and Sectonia's reflected her being in beauty. One day we found a strange mirror on the Odd Odyssey Island. This mirror was beautiful and special in some way, not only by its design. We took the mirror back to our home and let Sectonia gaze in it. How much a mistake it was. What we didn't know was there was an evil presence in that mirror. It began to change my friend into something she was not. Ruthless, cold and hurtful. She turned into a dictator and ruled the islands with an iron fist, and I thought we were still friends, but I realized that she was too far gone. A hero did manage to defeat her, but I'm afraid her soul still isn't at peace and that the darkness of that mirror still has her in its grasp. I beg you, please save Sectonia from the evil of the mirror and redeem her soul. From Taranza, was what the note read. I'll do just that, Taranza. Naruto spoke as he put away the scroll and headed towards one of the copy abilities. He knew this was going to be a tough fight, so he needed an ability that could deal some deal and take a lot of damage. He gazed upon the Beetle copy ability. Beetle will give me an edge in strength and defense. I'll be needing it against Sectonia. Naruto stated as he touched the copy pedestal. Dark blue light covered his body as his form changed within it before the light faded. Naruto had transformed into a beetle-like hybrid of himself. His skin had turned into dark orange scales with blue highlights that covered his entire body. His nose turned into a bottom horn for a rhinoceros beetle, with the bigger part of the horn coming from the back of his head to the front. His arms became insect-like with claws for fingers, while 4 others burst from his sides. A blue shell appeared on his back with the kanji fox where it hid his insect-like wings. His legs and feet became insect-like while his muscular density had doubled and his clothes had transformed into blue metal thin armor leggings with a black cloak around his waist. Only his hair and human-like face didn't change. It's time to face the queen, Naruto stated as he went through the doors and found himself in a throne room. A heart-shaped pink crystal was floating at the center and Naruto could feel the presence of being within it. No doubt it was Sectonia. The crystal was suddenly encased in darkness that began to take a shape. It transformed into a 12 feet tall wasp-like being. The wasp was of the female variety with a similar structure to a person and was beautiful. She had a color scheme of blue and yellow with violet eyes, golden wings with beautiful patterns, no arms but gloved hands, an hourglass figure, a heart on her royal regalia located at her chest, a crown with a heart in the center, and she wielded 2 staffs, which was a gold one with a pink diamond and a silver one with a green gem. So you wish to free this soul? I may have been defeated before, but I'm not relinquishing this soul ever. Her desires and screams are so delicious for me to not let go. Queen Sectonia spoke. You're despicable. You feed on innocent beings just to make yourself feel good. If Sectonia knew this was going to be the price for gazing at your wicked mirror, then you and that mirror should have been destroyed a long time ago. I am freeing her soul today and you aren't going to stop me. Naruto declared, getting into a fighting stance. Very well. I'll enjoy feeding on you too. Queen Sectonia shouted as her health bar appeared with her name reading Dark Sectonia as the Wasp King's color severely darkened. Bring it on, you parasite. Naruto shouted as the battle begun and the two charged towards each other with no remorse. Meanwhile, with Alucard and Roxas. Are you sure about this, Roxas? Alucard asked as he noticed his brother was holding a metal sphere which he knew was a hollow receiver. I'm sure, brother. You saw what happened in there. If Big Brother is fighting this Sectonia's darkness, he needs to know that there are still others that have his back. Roxas stated. Alright, for Naruto. Alucard stated as Roxas sent the receiver off to the only ones who needed to see this. Naruto's parents. Sectonia and Naruto clashed, striking each other with blow to blow. The orange blonde was glad he had chosen to use Beetle in this battle, or he would have already failed. Sectonia was no slouch on the battlefield. She was fast and had blasted with dark orbs of magic to attacking him with rings made out of dark energy. They were no longer fighting in the palace but in the skies. Star Style. Heaven's Knuckle. Naruto shouted after forming hand signs as his fists were enveloped in pure star energy while he charged forth. Try this. Dark Sectonia shouted as she fired a barrage of gold rings once more in an attempt to knock the orange blonde off course. Naruto, however, slammed his fists into the rings, shattering them to pieces with impact before delivering a powerful punch to Sectonia, sending her flying back. The Dark Queen recovered and fired a blast of dark lightning from her scepter as retaliation. Relic Style. Horn of the Insect King. Naruto shouted as he imbued relic energy into his horn, causing it extend and hardened as he shot out like an arrow of light. He flew around, dodging each bolt of lightning that Sectonia fired as he got closer to her. She summoned 2 rapiers and charged forth to fight in an act of blades. The horn and the blades clashed for supremacy as neither of them were backing down. Why do you want to save this soul so badly? Why involve yourself in someone else's affairs? Dark Sectonia howled, trying to slice Naruto in two. Because I don't deserve to end up where I was. Lost in the darkness and stuck in the background. For the first 5 years of my life, I was neglected by my own parents and was left to fend for myself. If I was in her position, then I would have ended up like her until they came. My brothers pulled me out of the darkness and I realized I wasn't alone. You kept that from her and tried to destroy her own heart from the inside out. Her friend Taranza wanted her to be free, so I'll damn well going to free her. Naruto shouted as he broke through Dark Sectonia's blade and slicing the Dark Queen in two. The Dark Queen vanished into darkness, releasing the crystal from her grasp, allowing Naruto to catch it before it fell. Naruto held onto the crystal but noticed something was wrong. The simulation hadn't ended. Then he remembered. There were 2 enemies he was fighting. A huge mass of purple vines shot from underneath the clouds surrounding him as a massive stalk rose above him with a single black bloom. The vines ensnared him as the blossom opened. It revealed Dark Sectonia had merged with the mysterious stalk, becoming an insect-plant hybrid, as her main body was surrounded by massive black petals with yellow markings and her wings had become demonic in form, with her eyes glowing a sinister red. You're right, I should have let that insignificant girl go. I bet your desires and darkness taste absolutely divine compared to hers. I will instead feed on you for eternity. Dark Sectonia spoke as her gauge refilled and now read evil of Sectonia. Naruto could feel his very essence being drained from his body as the vines clenched even harder on him. Damn it, if this keeps up then I'm going to die and Sectonia will never be free. Naruto thought as his vision began to grow hazy dangerously fast. He thought he was finished when he heard it. Don't give up, a familiar voice shouted as he noticed 4 diamonds appear before him. The diamonds held images of Alucard, Roxas, Minato and Kushina. Naruto, you can't give up, Roxas shouted. We need you, brother. Alucard shouted. You're strong, Naruto. Don't let that overgrown weed take you down. Kushina shouted. Naruto, being controlled by someone else isn't an excuse for me to push you to the side, but you continued to fight despite the odds against you. You grew stronger than we've realized, not in strength or wisdom but in heart and soul. I want you to know that I'm proud of you and I'll never stop loving you. So fight, Naruto. Fight with everything you got. Minato shouted. Naruto opened his eyes as they grew sharper and burned with will and determination. I'm not going to give up. I realized how stupid I've been to not see what lies underneath the underneath. I now know I was lying to myself when I thought you didn't love me. But no more. I'm not ashamed anymore. Naruto shouted as he began to break through the vines that binds him. What? Evil of Sectonia howled as she couldn't understand where Naruto's newfound strength had come from. I am Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze and Naruto Vargas. He shouted, breaking through the vines. I'm not going to let you take my down because I have one thing that you don't have. Naruto shouted, performing hand signs for a jutsu. Mimic clone jutsu. Naruto shouted as a clone of Minato, Kushina, Alucard, Roxas, Kurama and all of his friends appeared beside him. I have people that will always have my back. The ones who help me belong in this world. They are my power and they are my strength. Beat me down all you want but I won't lose. Naruto shouted with all his might as he performed more hand signs. Bond style. Chains of heart jutsu. Naruto shouted as the clones created rainbow energy chains that shot at evil of Sectonia, binding her vines and form. I don't need this body to defeat you. Evil of Sectonia howled as she separated herself from the bloom, used her torso and wings to fly. Bring it, Naruto shouted as he flew once more, heading towards Sectonia. Eos, evil of Sectonia, fired multiple razor-sharp dark crescents at Naruto in a flurry. Bond style. Formation of Unity Jutsu. Naruto shouted as the clones of Ino, Choji and Shikamaru shot forth, forming a triangular barrier blocking the blades but sending them flying back in the form golden arrows, piercing Eos with pinpoint precision. Eos then created clones of herself that flew towards Naruto in a fury. Bond style. Hunter's Pride Jutsu. Naruto shouted as this time the clones of Shino, Hinata and Kiba were sent forth, turning into twisters of light that destroyed the clones before slamming into Eos with no remorse. I'll not lose to you. Eos screamed as she released a flurry of acid spirits at him with no remorse. Bond style. Wool of Hardworking Jutsu. Naruto shouted as the clones of Lee and Tenten shot forth, transforming into swords and slicing through the acid and precision before striking Eos. Just die. Eos howled as she transformed into a burning fireball and rocketed forth to end Naruto. Bond style. Bloom of the Teacher Jutsu. Naruto shouted as Enko and Iruka's clones went forth, transforming into a giant blossom that grabbed the fireball and threw it back with incredible force. Die 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 die. Eos howled as she focused her energy before unleashing a gigantic laser in her last effort to finish Naruto. Bond style. Spirit of Love Jutsu. Naruto called out once more as the clones of his parents went off, forming a spiraling chain that shattered the laser and wrapped itself around Eos, preventing the evil from hopes of escaping. The spirit was forced to watch Naruto perform 12 different hand signs. Bond style. Naruto spoke as the clones of Kurama, Roxas and Alucard transformed into energy and spiraled around each, forming a bright rainbow sphere of energy, and flew towards Eos in fury. Rasenjo no Tamashi Jutsu, Spiraling Heart. He howled as he sailed to slam the spiraling sphere into Eos. The evil spirit screamed in pain as the spiraling sphere shredded and purified her darkness until she exploded in a blast of petals. Naruto suddenly found himself back in the battle room in his normal form. Naruto. A familiar voice spoke as he turned around to see his brothers and his parents looking at him. Ka-san, mother, To-san, father, brothers? Naruto asked, confused as he found himself in a four-way hug by Kushina, Minato, Roxas and Alucard. Naruto. You had us so worried. I thought we were going to lose you. Roxas shouted with tears in his eyes. Yeah, big brother. Don't pull a stunt like that ever again. You're going to give everyone heart attacks. Alucard stated. Oh Naruto. I'm so proud of you. You grew into such a fine man. You were incredible in there. Kushina stated. I'm very proud of you, Naruto. You fought with everything you had and didn't give up no matter what. You are a remarkable son. Minato spoke as they let go of Naruto. Minato-sama, Kushina-sama, did you really mean what you said back there? Naruto asked. Yes, we've meant every word. Being controlled by someone is no excuse to neglect you for all those years. We're really sorry and I hope we can make it up to you. Do you forgive us? Minato asked. After everything I just went through, I realized I'll be an idiot if I didn't. Mother and father. Naruto spoke as Minato and Kushina had smiles on their faces. Suddenly Naruto's pocket began to glow as the jewel-holding Sectonia's spirit flew away from him. The crystal glowed even brighter before taking the form of a young teenage girl with long blonde hair, light peach skin, a slim and elegant figure, beautiful angelic insect-like wings, and appearance and outfit similar to Queen Sectonia. Sectonia's spirit, it turned into a person. Roxas stated, surprised as Naruto walked up to the unconscious girl and picked her up in his arms. I really did redeem the queen. Naruto spoke with a smile on his face. Meanwhile, in a hidden base located underneath Konohana, a shadowed figure stood in front of an army of masked warriors. This man had features of a mummy, but the darkness couldn't reveal anything else. It seems my seal has been broken. No matter. This is only the beginning of my plans. Once it comes to fruition, then the leaf shall rise and rule the entire world. The figure stated. Something was afoot in Konohana, and what danger does it hold? It has been a week since Naruto given his former parents Minato and Kushina another chance. To say the relationship was strained didn't do any good. It was awkward between the three. The first was the living arrangements. Naruto didn't want to move into the Namikaze estate due to Menma and Naruko, who hated him with all their might, and he didn't want his brothers moving there either for that same reason. Kushina, however, didn't want Naruto to stay on the Hidden Fox for his entire time either, since it was in the Forest of Death and the place earned that name for a reason. Minato managed to work on an agreement. Until the Menma and Naruko problem was solved, then Naruto and his brothers would stay in the Hidden Fox but at least join a family meal once a day, so they settled for breakfast time. They had read Naruko's journal and were outraged and upset by everything she had written, from how she bullied the others and her personality, and Menma's being that of spoiled children. They realized how much of a great injustice they had done to their eldest son. The second was the Hidden Fox. Minato knew if word got out that there was ship capable of flying and armed with weapons, then Konohana would doubt become a target to other nations and make connections to them really shaky at best, to full-blown war for the worst, like what happened in Uzushio. Kushina and Naruto figured out that problem. The Hokage will make the ship a triple S-class secret, and only those he truly trusts or Naruto fully trusts shall know of its existence, but only as a bunker. They could borrow some of the scrolls since it lists some jutsu that weren't major secret techniques for other nations but were rare and very prized for the knowledge it contained. They left the machines and blueprints to Naruto since he was the best to make sure it wouldn't fall into the wrong hands. There were other problems as well, but some of those still needed to be worked on. Then there were other problems. First was Sectonia. She was quite surprised to find herself in the Hidden Fox and was nervous around Roxas. The reason was because Roxas' species was the one who defeated her when she was trapped in the darkness. Naruto reassured her that Roxas wouldn't hurt her, but there was still going to be tension between them. She was also surprised about her new form and realized that the evil darkness that controlled her had left a fraction of its powers within her. This was also balanced by Naruto's ancient comet chakra, combination of relic and star energy with chakra, which also given her a more human-like form, but she could turn into her queen state, but there was a lot of work to be done. Then there was the civilian council. Naruto's change had been witnessed by multiple villagers, and if they found out about Sectonia, then Naruto feared that they would use the poor girl as breeding stock for soldiers with her powers. He had currently brought this up to Minato and Kushina when they came to visit Naruto, so the three along with Roxas, Sectonia and Alucard. Sectonia right now was holding onto Naruto with a scared look on her face. Her world was way brighter and peaceful compared to the shinobi nations, and be used as a breeding factory had terrified her very much. I don't want to hole up Sectonia in the Hidden Fox for all her life. She needs interactions with other living beings besides us, but I don't want that damn council to turn her into their personal factory just for her powers. Naruto stated, I know, son, but this is going to be difficult. We can have her under the protection of the Namikaze clan, but after finding out how unstable Menma is, then she would be put into more danger. We can let her become a ninja in a genin team, but the civilian council will bar her from that. We can keep her identity so no one will try to cause a demon hunt, but how are we going to protect her? Kushina asked and thought. Then a light bulb went off in Minato's head. Naruto, did using the synchro cause any special powers? Minato asked. Yeah. I can change between my Star Warrior, Relican and human forms along with the powers that come with it. I have some ocular powers in my eyes, but so far I've only got the right eye awakened, not my left. There's still things about that haven't been brought to the surface. Why? Naruto asked. Because Naruto, you are the key to this. Have you heard of the CRA law? Minato stated as Naruto had shocked look on his face like someone just slapped him in the face. CRA? What's that? Sectonia asked curiously at the small hope in front of her. Clan Restoration Act. It's where if a member of a clan with bloodline limit or keke genke can take multiple wives, husbands, depending on the gender, to restart or start their clan and keep it from going extinct. Basically, Naruto is qualified for the CRA law and take you dear as a wife. That way the council can't claim you and you'll be protected. Minato explained as Naruto's and Sectonia's face blushed bright red. Wife? As in married? Sectonia stuttered, looking at Naruto with her face blushing red. Kurama's laughter could be heard from Naruto's head along with sobbing. Oh my god, my kid is growing up to be a man. Soon he's going to have a full group of beautiful vixens, get laid and have his own kits. The greatest thing is I've got a front row seat to the whole thing. Ahahahaha, my sides are hurting. Kurama bellowed as Naruto was so flustered that he couldn't cut the connection. How does taking so many girls going to restart or start a clan? Don't they come from storks? Roxas asked as Naruto felt himself petrify. He just realized that Aldous had not given them the birds and bees talk. Kurama was now laughing even harder than before. He looked at his parents who were stifling a laugh while his dad was giving him a look saying, "You're on your own. No way in hell am I going to give my brothers the talk, damn it. I'm too young for this crap already. Someone just shoot me now." Naruto thought as he heard Sectonia giggle at him. "Hey Roxas and Alucard, do you want to spend some time with me? I'm going to tell you a story." Kushina stated as Roxas and Alucard followed her into a different. It's going to be one of hell story though. Ahahahahahahah. Kurama laughed as Naruto managed to cut the connection and reposed himself while Sectonia did the same. It's the only thing that I could think of. It's really up to Naruto since he has the right of enacting it. Minato stated. Sectonia, I don't want the villages to treat you less than a living being, but you need to know that I won't abuse, rush or force you into this. You deserve care, love and respect. You should know that I'm willing to do anything to protect you and those who are precious to me. We can take things nice and slow. Naruto explained. Thank you Naruto. Let's do it. Sectonia answered. Can I let Hinata in on this as well? We both have feelings for each other and I don't want to break us up or anything. Naruto asked. Sure. In fact, the other day Hiyashi sent a marriage proposal for you to marry Hinata. Minato stated as Kushina, Roxas and Alucard walked into the room, but the three were surprised on how Roxas and Alucard didn't seem disturbed. Rather, in fact, they seemed really happy for a reason. What's with the smiles? I thought you guys would be disturbed after having the birds and the bees talk. Naruto asked, confused, thinking whether to be glad or worried. It was disturbing in many ways, but that's not what we're smiling about. We're smiling because of the little surprise coming on your birth month, Naruto. Alucard stated as Roxas was having a giggle fit. Surprise? What kind of surprise? Naruto asked. Soon we're going to be big brothers. Roxas bounced as the answer hit Naruto and Minato like a freight train. You're pregnant. Congratulations. Sectonia stated as there was a look of fear on Minato's face, but it was replaced with joy. Naruto's heart was confused at most. This new child could lead him to being neglected by everyone, or it could be the very thing that can connect him with his family. I'll think on this later. Naruto thought. We'll talk about this later. Naruto, you and brothers go to the academy. It's almost time for team selections to begin, so you shouldn't be late. Minato stated as Naruto flinched, realizing that team selections were today. Come on, we're going to be late. Bye guys. Naruto shouted as his brothers rushed out of the hidden Fox Road, the Warp and Fox Stars, to the academy as quick as they could. Should we tell them that the team selection isn't until an hour from now? Kushina asked. It's payback for painting me pink and stealing my clothes. Minato stated as his wife giggled. An hour later, the brothers realized that they had been duped when they were the first ones to arrive in class. The conversation had started and ended in phrase. This means war. So the three spent their time playing cards while waiting for their classmates. Luckily Naruto's friends showed up first, except for Lee and Tenten, who were already in a genin team since last year. Morning Naruto. I see you've brought your brothers with you. We've been meaning to ask you about them, but we couldn't find you anywhere. Your location for most of the day is always a mystery. Kiba stated as his pup Akamaru barked. Sorry about that. I'm still trying to patch things up with my family. It's shaky at best, plus I don't want my home being defiled by villagers who think I'm the nine-tailed fox. Naruto explained. It is logical, but why do you smell like wasps? My beetles smelled traces of a wasp, or specifically a wasp queen, on you, and it's one they or I don't recognize. Shino asked. Naruto knew he was going to mention sometime soon since he had to leave for the council later on in the day. Might as well tell them some of the truth. Naruto thought. Well, did you notice my new appearance? Receives nods. I awakened an unknown Kekkei Genkei years ago, which started to slowly change my appearance and abilities. The wasp smell reason is because I found a girl who happens to be born with a wasp keke genke unconscious a week ago when I was out training. Her name is Sectonia. I was afraid of what the council was going to do with her if they found about her. I discovered that I fall under the CRA law and the only way to keep her out of the council's hands was to take her as one of my wives. She's been spending the week at my place. I want to take things nice and slow with her. Plus I didn't want to leave Hinata behind either. Naruto explained. Told you girls will be troublesome. Shikamaru stated as he earned a whack on the head by Ino. That's so sweet of you, Naruto. This is why I like you better than Sasuke. He's nothing but cold, arrogant and heartless. At least you know how to respect a woman. Ino stated proudly. She used to be a Sasuke fangirl until Naruto showed her how Sasuke really was and told her she would end up being crushed and abused. Naruto told her to find someone who would care and love her back, plus he kept Naruto's cronies off her back and also told her things not to do in her ninja career like fangirling or dieting. Then Naruto explained about how he met his brothers and cared for them as a final request from their father figure. Wow, that's really sad and so sweet. Just know that the Akamichi clan will have your back if any trouble comes. Hey, I got an idea. After we're done with meeting our teams for today, we should meet up at one of my family's barbecue restaurants or have a potluck at one of the parks so we can get to know more about your siblings and your friend Sectonia. It'll help her get familiarized to the village and add new friends in her circle. Choji explained. That's a really good idea, Choji. It'll help ease her into settling in the village and help make her feel comfortable. Plus we can get to know about Roxas and Alucard better. Hinata stated. That's really fun. Let's did. Roxas stated, bouncing up and down repeatedly in joy. Sounds really nice. Let's go with the potluck. It'll be much calmer than a restaurant full of strangers. It's also something our dad wanted to do for us before he passed. Alucard stated. It's like one of those books my mom made me read when I was kid. Naruto is the kind and helpful older brother. Roxas is the doofy kid brother who is always filled with non-stop energy and excitement, and Alucard is the middle brother who keeps his younger brother out of trouble as best he can. Just so troublesome, Shikamaru thought. They spent the rest of the time talking to each other as other people came into the classroom. Well, looky here. A familiar voice spoke as the group of friends turned to see Naruto, Menma and Sasuke standing before them. Naruto glared at his former siblings. Thanks to you, Mom and Dad scolded and beat the crap out of us while cutting our training. You should have just disappeared already. Naruto spat hatefully, earning glares from Naruto's friends but mainly his siblings. They were shooting daggers at Naruto and Menma. Look at you. You're nothing but a freak, and so are your so-called brothers. You guys deserve each other because you are nothing but rejects. Menma spat as the brothers' anger was boiling. You don't deserve that jutsu or anything. You should hand it to someone who truly needs it like me. The Uchiha clan can use that jutsu to the fullest than someone like you. Sasuke stated coldly. Naruto knew they were taunting him, but their words meant nothing. I bet their parents dumped them when they were babies because they knew they were freaks. Sakura added as the three tormentors laughed at her joke. That was the final straw. The whole room was swamped with a massive amount of killing intent unlike any they felt before. It wasn't flooding the room and suffocating everyone as it was controlled and striking four specific targets, the Namikaze twins, Sasuke and Sakura. Others could feel it, but it wasn't as intimidating like those four. It was originating from Naruto, whose eyes were literally glowing with pure fury. I can handle you saying rude things about me and I'll defend my friends from your words, but if you ever direct it to my brothers, especially the one who cared for them before me, who gave their life for them, then what I'm doing now will only seem like mercy on what I can do to you. So you better shut up and leave or I'll show you a real monster. Naruto snarled as they noticed his teeth grew longer and sharp and his voice deeper and demonic with each word he spoke. The four were horrified at what Naruto could or might do to them, forcing to go to their seats and stay as far from the orange blonde as possible. Naruto calmed down as he felt his fangs shortened and his voice returning to normal. He realized long ago that when he used the synchro on himself that some of Kurama's essence had merged into him as well, since the soul was currently residing inside. Whenever he got angry, he always felt his teeth groan and turn sharp, while sometimes his claws extended and cheek marks broadened. He knew that Kurama was a being who represented malice and hatred, and that said sin will draw his power to the surface. Even without chakra, that alone could set off something in Naruto's body more primal and dangerous that the blonde feared. He didn't want to see the results of such a deadly combination. I'm going to have to keep my anger in check. I don't want to harm those I care about or anyone innocent. Naruto thought as he watched Iruka walk into the classroom, but not Mizuki. He already knew what happened to Mizuki since he was caught trying to steal the forbidden scroll over the week, and he and his brothers were the ones to kick his ass with use of the shadow clone jutsu since the man wasn't worth the use of the mimic clone jutsu. Iruka congratulated the students in the room before beginning to announce the teams. Naruto tuned out most of it until it reached Team 7. Team 7 is Sakura Haruno, Sasuke Uchiha and Sai Shimura. Your sensei will be Kakashi Hatake. Iruka stated as he noticed the evil hungry look in Sakura's when she heard she was being paired with Sasuke. Team 8 is Yakumo Kurama, Kiba Inuzuka and Shino Aburame, and your sensei is Kurenai Yuhi. Team 9 is still in circulation. Team 10 is Choji Akamichi, Shikamaru Nara and Ino Yamanaka, whose sensei is Asuma Sarutobi. Team 11 is Naruko Uzumaki Namikaze and Menma Uzumaki Namikaze, and your sensei is Yamato. Team 12 is Hinata Hyuga, Naruto Vargas and Sectonia Hana, and your senseis are Kushina Uzumaki and Anko Mitarashi. Your senseis state you must meet them and your teammate training ground 44. Iruka stated. Naruto could see the anger radiating from his former siblings and Sasuke. This wasn't going to be a good start with targets already gunning for him. At least he had his girlfriend, his brothers and familiar faces to help him out. Naruto and his brothers could feel the hatred coming off of Sasuke, Sakura and his former siblings, but Sakura however was more responsive. Why would those bakas have two senseis instead of us? Sakura screeched like the banshee she was. If you have a problem with it then take it to the Hokage, but I won't let you disrespect his choices or the others here. Iruka shouted annoyed as Sakura got into her seat and was silent. Everyone except Team 12 should stay in their seats until your teachers arrive. Iruka stated as the Fox brothers and Hinata left to go meet their senseis. Naruto was happy that he knew where they must go since the forest was home to him, but also that Hinata was going to meet Sectonia. He was a bit nervous on how they'll react to each, but she did need a friend and Hinata was the perfect choice. It took a bit of time getting there since Naruto thought it'd be nice to walk instead of teleporting everywhere. The four arrived to the gate to be greeted by Kushina, Anko and Sectonia. Apparently Sakansha was wearing new clothing since her clothing did bring unnecessary attention to herself. She wore a gray fishnet shirt with a violet heart on it, a violet open jacket with white cuffs with 4 slits on the back for her wings to come out of easily, black embu pants, and a pair of combat heels that Naruto had invented since she was uncomfortable in open-toe sandals. She carried her 2 staffs on her back by a silver strap. Hey Kushina-sensei, Anko-sensei and Sectonia-chan. Sorry if it took a bit longer. I thought it would be better to walk here than just teleport. Naruto said with a bow in respect. Hey Kushina and Anko, lovely day isn't it? Alucard added. Hey mom and hey miss pretty lady. It's good to see you again. Roxas shouted bouncing up and down. Did Roxas call me his mother? Aw, he's so adorable. Kushina thought with a smile on her face. Roxas is like a little child who's innocent and pure. He doesn't easily hold grudges and would speak his mind with no worry. That's my little brother. I hope he never changes. Naruto thought with a smile on his face. Glad to see you made it, Gaki. You 3 sure have grown since I last saw you. This is going to be fun. Now let's start this little squad meeting since someone has a council meeting soon. Anko stated as the group sat down on some logs. We'll be telling about ourselves from our name, likes, dislikes, hobbies and dreams for the future. I'll start first. My name is Kushina Uzumaki. I like my family, ramen, friends and my 2 foster sons. I dislike perverts, creeps and pedophiles. My hobbies are cooking, training and gardening. My dream has already been fulfilled, which is having a family. Kushina explained turning to Anko. My name is Anko Mitarashi. I like working at T&I, torturing, snakes and 3 certain fox brothers. My dislikes are perverts and a certain pedophile snake. My hobbies are torturing and raising snakes. My dream is confidential. Anko stated as she faced Sectonia. My name is Sectonia Hana. I like bees, flowers, Naruto and honey. I dislike darkness and possessed mirrors. My hobbies are gardening, fencing and practice with my staff. My dream is to redeem myself from my past and become a kind person that will protect others. Sectonia answered, getting smiles from the group as she turned to Hinata. My name is Hinata Hyuga. I like my family, friends, flowers, Naruto-kun and his brothers and cinnamon buns. I dislike the caged bird seal and rude people. My hobbies are flower pressing, practicing my gentle fist and hanging out with friends. My dream is to unite my clan and to abolish the caged bird seal. Hinata stated as she looked at Naruto. My name is Naruto Vargas, or go by Uzumaki Namikaze. I like ramen, my friends, my brothers, my mom and dad, Hinata-chan and Sectonia-chan. My dislikes are arrogant people, those who misuse their bloodlines for their own benefit and darkness. My hobbies are inventing, riding on the Fox Star, playing games with my brothers and friends and training. My dream is to explore the world with my siblings and meet new people. Naruto stated as he looked at Alucard. My name is Alucard Vargas. I like ramen, my brothers, my late father, my new family, friends and music. My dislikes are people who judge by looks and cooked eels. My hobbies are playing instruments, singing, training and pranks. My dream is to find out if there are others like me somewhere in the world. Alucard stated as he looked at Roxas, who bounced happily in his seat. My name is Roxas Vargas. I like ramen, playing games, my family, my late father and dancing. My dislikes are people who pick on others for their size, being underestimated by my looks and those who hunt foxes. My hobbies are pranks, exploring, dancing, and helping others. My dream is to become a legend and the world's greatest performer. Roxas stated as he twirled in place before flipping and posed, earning some claps from the group. Now then, you know that the academy is used to choose who has potential in becoming a ninja, but there is still one more test for you to face in order to become real ninja. Each squad has its own unique mission, and usually we do it today, but since there has been a council meeting made today, it will have to wait. You can use this spare time to prepare for our test tomorrow, so make sure to come to the Forest of Death at 8 o'clock in the morning. Oh, and don't eat breakfast tomorrow or you'll puke. Kushina explained as the two senseis disappeared into a cloud of smoke, leaving the new team bewildered. Well, that was fast. Alucard stated, trying to remove the silence around them. Yeah, let's make sure to eat breakfast tomorrow if we're going to pass this test. By the way, Sectonia, my friends and I having to get to know each potluck today. We thought it would be a good idea to get know some of my friends and get more comfortable in the leaf. Naruto explained. That sounds nice. Kushina was showing me how to bake earlier, so I'll bring a cake to the potluck. What are you guys going to bring? Sectonia asked curiously. I'm going to bring some sticky buns. Hinata answered. I'm going to bring a grill and make some burgers and hot dogs. Alucard stated. I'll supply the condiments, plates, bowls, utensils and bring some rice balls. Naruto answered. And I'm going to make some takoyaki and mochi. Roxas said happily. Those sound really good. Where are we meeting at? Hinata asked. At the park. Lee's team should be back from their mission by now. Could you do me a favor and tell their sensei about the potluck? I don't want to forget about anyone. Naruto explained. Sure, I'll make sure I tell them. It was nice seeing you, Naruto-kun, Alucard-san, Roxas-san and Sectonia-san. See you at the potluck. Hinata spoke with a bow as she left the group. You can come out now. Naruto stated, noticing three Anbu appearing before him, but they weren't ones he recognized. They were wearing blank masks with a kanji for root on it. Who the hell are you? I know you aren't part of Hokage-sama's Anbu. Naruto stated, glaring at the ninja. Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze, come with us. One of the Anbu stated with an emotionless tone. Sorry, but that's a no. I don't go with unknown ninja. Naruto stated as his brothers, Sectonia and him got into a battle stance. Last warning, come with us or face the consequences. The Anbu stated once again. Might as well test out my new project. Naruto stated as he took out what seemed to be a gumball-sized star-shaped purple candy with a dark purple eye on it with a spiral in the center of it. You'll taste the power of my copy candy. Naruto stated as he ate the purple star candy and swallowed it. A burst of energy enveloped his clothing as they suddenly began to change. His headband had transformed into a red cap with a black leaf symbol on it. His shirt and coat changed to yellow with blue stripes. His hair darkened a bit. His pants had shortened and gained light green streaks to it. His shoes became red sneakers and a spark of energy appeared in his eyes in the shape of a star as an aura pulsed around his hands, wild and free. Time to show you the powers of the mind, Naruto shouted as he became ESP Naruto. ESP was one of Naruto's personal favorites, for not only did it give telekinetic and telepathic abilities, it was also boosted his intelligence and awareness, making him a threat to those against him. After all, knowledge is power, and in this scenario it can be deadly. The Anbu didn't say anything and went to attack the 4PK trap. Naruto stated as an aura of blue energy surrounded the Anbu and froze them in place. Do you like that? This is my PK trap. I can immobilize anyone in my area of divination with my psychic powers. Now tell me, who are you working for? Naruto asked with a threatening tone. The Anbu bit their tongues and began to gag before going limp. Shit, they had suicide packets in their mouths. They're as good as dead, Naruto stated as he let the Anbu down and sensed out the area for any others. His eyes suddenly shot open as he pointed to a specific tree with two of his fingers pointing in front. PK snipe, Naruto stated as an invisible aura shot out of his two fingers and a thud was heard as another mysterious Anbu fell down to the floor, but this one was alive. PK thief, Naruto whispered as a brown pill appeared in his hand. This one won't be killing himself anytime soon, Naruto stated. Who were they, Naruto? Sectonia asked, a bit worried. I don't know, but maybe Hokage-sama might know, Naruto answered as he sent off the shinobi to T&I with a note on him before powering down. We better leave before more of them show up and we'll be late for the council meeting, Alucard stated. The group nodded and left to the council board. The council was split into three parts. The Civilian Council, which discussed the needs of businesses and matters for civilians. The Shinobi Council, consisting of clan heads of various clans and ninja. The Hokage, which chose and decided matters with any assistance from his three advisors. However, the Civilian Council for the Leaf is more corrupt, trying to push around the affairs of ninja and thinking they were above the Shinobi Council and sometimes the Hokage. They also had a bone to pick with Naruto for very stupid reasons. The Civilian Council was currently bickering between each other as the Fox brothers and Sectonia had arrived at the court. A lot of the civilians were already shooting glares at Naruto, while the Uchiha clan head Itachi merely sighed. Itachi was made clan head when Fugaku, which was his father, and a few of the Uchiha were caught planning a coup against the Leaf. It would have ended up in a slaughter if it wasn't for Naruto's interference, placing a spy camera in their office and had it broadcasted to the Hokage or his father immediately. This was when Naruto's relationship with his father was pure ignorance, but he knew an event like this couldn't be ignored due to the few members of Uchiha clan that were his friends and the others who weren't involved were innocent. In the end, Fugaku's forces were destroyed before they could begin, but Fugaku had escaped and became a missing nin since then. Itachi kept it a secret between him and Naruto since he knew how unstable the relationship with Naruto's father was. Let's begin this council meeting, shall we, since our last few members have arrived, Minato stated, looking at Naruto with no emotion, but Naruto could sense his worry. The first motion we'll get started on is the appearance of two new characters in the Leaf. May you please introduce yourselves? Minato asked as Roxas and Alucard stepped forward, getting surprised gasps from most of the council. Demons! That brat brought the Fox's offspring into office. Someone kill these monsters! A fat merchant shouted as the Civilian Council were calling out for the brothers' deaths. Enough, let them speak, Minato stated as the civilians shut their mouths. Hello, my name is Alucard Vargas and this is my little brother Roxas. It's nice to meet you, Alucard stated with a bow. Yep, it's nice to meet you, Hokage-sama, Roxas stated, bouncing in joy, earning some awes from some of the females. From what you told some of our ninja and witness Enko Mitarashi is that you've been living in the Forest of Death for quite some time now. You've came into contact with Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze 8 years ago. Is that true, and if so, how and why? Minato asked. The brothers retold their story on how they were sent here by accident with their foster father, not mentioning the hidden fox, when a jutsu went wrong, and how their father died protecting them, to saving Naruto when he was attacked, and the will he left for anyone who come across the brothers to find. It touched a lot of the clan's hearts and even moved some of the civilians who were still good-natured. So what? You should have let the demon brat to die. Another rich snob civilian spoke, earning glares from a lot of the shinobi and Minato. You are nothing but greedy bastards, so you should shut the hell up. The two did what they felt was right, so the Inuzuka clan will back them up. Sume stated angrily at the nerve of some of the thick-headed civilians. It says here that this Aldous Vargas left you a jutsu scroll for Naruto, which has something to do with his appearance, and you've been helping Naruto train and wish to become Naruto's ninja for his shinobi career. Is this true? Minato stated. Yes. Our late father left a scroll for his synchro jutsu. A special jutsu he made to grow more closer to me and brother, infusing some of our special energy into him, creating a unique bloodline known as Rojin Suda or Elder Star, granting whoever has it our species unique abilities. We merely trained Naruto on how to use our powers, including transforming into our species, and wanted to assist him in battle for everything he's done for us. Alucard explained. Can you give us a demonstration? Danzo asked as they looked suspiciously at them. Naruto gave his brothers a look that said show one, but not anything really important. We'll only show one ability between our species. Alucard stated. I'll go first. Roxas stated as he inhaled some air and began to fly into the air like a balloon, gently floating yet quickly around the room. One of Roxas' species' abilities is endless flight. He can take in air and use to inflate his body, allowing him to fly off the ground and even hover gently. This can be used to get out of an opponent's range quickly, spy from above, or slow yourself down from a deadly fall. And Naruto stated, giving Roxas that look. Roxas then spat out the air into a pressurized bullet that hit a pillar and cracked it severely before landing perfectly unharmed. Can release that captured air into a bullet with another force to send a full-grown elephant flying. No chakra involved, Naruto stated as Roxas bounced happily and pose. That definitely has a lot of advantages in battle and on the field, being able to fly through the air and turn the air into a pressurized bullet as well. There are a few individuals with the ability to fly, but they all use chakra. Shikaku stated. Now my turn. While my brother's species is Star Warrior, my species is Golem, or what my late father called me, Relic, in short for Relic Human. As you can see, my body is made up of multiple objects, or relics as he called it, with most of them made out of tough materials like stone and gold, held together by my special energy, or relic energy. Now watch this. Alucard stated as his body suddenly broken apart, earning some gasps. Then part of his body began to rise and took his normal small form. I can pull and separate my pieces to make myself smaller, or pulls his relics back and returning to his taller size, bigger, to either provide brute strength or access areas I couldn't before, and no matter how broken my body becomes, I can put myself back together like nothing happened. Plus my species energy makes us immune to genjutsu, which was proven during Naruto's exam since he holds that energy in him. Alucard stated, earning some surprise from the shinobi and bad and greedy looks from Naruto and Menma, who were currently sitting in the Uzumaki Namikaze section with Kushina. We demand that you hand over the Synchro Jutsu scroll to the Namikaze twins this instant. A certain pink-haired civilian shouted. Sorry, but that jutsu is no longer usable and it is clan secrets. Naruto stated with a smug look on his face. What do you mean? Screeched Naruto as Naruto held out a document, but not just any document. It was a clan foundation act with Minato's signature on it. This hereby document has states that a new clan is in the village. The Vargas clan, and I'm its clan head, and it has the seal of approval from the Hokage himself. You might be wondering why I'm doing, since I'm supposed to be a Namikaze. On my 6th birthday I was disowned from the Uzumaki and Namikaze clans for Naruto and Menma due to ignorance. I've been fine with it for a long time, since I had Roxas and Alucard, and I held no grudge against you Hokage-sama or his wife Kushina-sama. It had given me the right to found my clan and protect my siblings along with our clan secrets. So Naruto and Menma aren't getting our clan secrets and never will, since the Synchro Jutsu scroll could only be used once. Naruto explained as some of the civilians and his former siblings were pissed. With that declaration, the Vargas clan has been founded and Roxas and Alucard are both members and Naruto's ninjas. On to priority number 2, we also have another bloodline in our village. Miss Sectonia Hana will please stand forward and tell us on how you stand before us. Minato stated as Sectonia stepped forward, earning a lustful look from some of the civilians and Menma. I'm a survivor of the bloodline purges in Kiri. My family and I had left to avoid the assassins hunting us down due to our Kanchu Ishi or insect wool bloodline. I was the only one to survive. Sectonia explained her false, story to the council. What does this insect will do, Sectonia-san? Shibi Aburame asked. It allows us to take traits of the insect we are linked to. My chosen insect is wasp, bee, so I can take the aspects of any type of said species from turning into full species or mere hybrid while also allowing me control and communication of said insects. The insect a member would get is usually random if it's two different types for their parents and sometimes random with non-members. Sectonia explained. We demand you make her into breeding stock. Another civilian shouted, earning further glares from the shinobi while Naruto slammed his fist down, getting everyone's attentions. I hereby enact that Sectonia is under protection by the Vargas clan until further notice. You will not make breeding stock of a poor innocent girl. Naruto claimed as the civilians yelled out in rage and Menma looked ready to attack Naruto. I, Shibi Aburame, will also grant protection of Sectonia as well alongside the Vargas clan. Shibi stated, earning a smile from Naruto and Sectonia. It was natural since the Aburame clan also had an insect-like bloodline and they would go out and protect their own or others like them. Hokage-sama, I also wish to enact the CRA law. I want to protect Sectonia further with it and also be able to wed the Hyuga heiress Hinata as well, since receiving a marriage proposal by her father Hiashi. Those who agree? Minato asked as every clan raised their hands with Sectonia while the civilians denied it. Motion carried. As of today, Sectonia and Hinata are to be wed by Naruto Vargas and are under protection of the Vargas clan and Aburame clans. I now call this meeting to an end. Minato stated. Now to deal with that mysterious ninja. Naruto thought, sending his father a secret signal and his father nodding in agreement. There were things that needed to be done. What the hell? Naruto thought as he and his brothers had taken Minato the interrogation room to inspect the mysterious Anbu who had attacked them earlier, only to witness said Anbu dead on the floor, missing his head. What happened here? Minato asked as Anko approached them. The ninja Naruto brought in earlier, someone broke in the facility and killed him during the council meeting. Take the head with them but left the body here. Anko explained as she didn't look happy one bit. It must be whoever that ninja was working for. They got rid of his head since it and the mask were the main piece of evidence to this case and prevented Naruto from using his techniques. Alucard stated. Though they forget we know what the mask looks like. Roxas shouted. Yeah. The guy was wearing a plain white mask with the kanji for root on it. Naruto stated as Minato and Anko had a look of surprise on their face. Root? But that task force was disbanded years ago. Anko shouted. You know who attacked us? Roxas asked. I don't know if it's the same root or not, but I suggest you keep your guard up. There is no telling when they will strike again. I'll have Jiraiya gather some needed information. Until then, be careful, boys. Minato explained as the boys nodded. The Fox brothers decided to leave and get ready for the potluck they'd planned. A few hours later, Naruto and his brothers along with Sectonia were heading to the park with their items for the get-to-know-each-other potluck. Naruto, Alucard and Roxas had their items and food stored into storage seals while Sectonia was holding a pink box with a sweet honey-like scent coming from it. Despite the glares from the villagers, no one else bothered the group, knowing they'll be in serious trouble attacking a clan head. The four had arrived to the park to see their friends already there with a variety of food and drinks gathered around, including two additional people which Naruto recognized as his bowl haircut friend Lee and his teammate Ten, easily recognized by her panda hairstyle. Hey guys, Naruto stated, getting his friends' attention as smiles were sent their way. Hey Naruto, you brought your brothers too, and I guess the young lady with you must be Sectonia. We're glad you could make it. Kiba stated as Alucard sealed the grill along with a table with burger patties, hot dogs, buns and some tongs while his brothers unsealed their food and items and Sectonia placed the box on the spare table. She pulled off the top, revealing a beautiful cake with white frosting and decorated with strawberries, dollops of cream and flowers and bees made out of honey. Whoa, that cake is so beautiful. Did you make it? Ino asked, amazed. Thank you, and yes, I made it. This is a honey lemon cake decorated with strawberries, whipped cream, honey drizzle art and vanilla frosting. I thought of bringing something sweet for you guys. Sectonia answered with a smile on her face. Wow, you should work at a bakery for a living because this cake looks amazing and I bet it tastes delicious too. If you ever looking for a job outside of ninja work, I can ask my dad to let you help out at the bakery. Choji stated. Why thank you, I'll sure think about it. Sectonia answered with a smile on her face. They introduced themselves to Sectonia, giving time for Alucard to start grilling some burgers and hot dogs on the grill. The group of friends were easily getting along with each other and their new member Sectonia. It was all peaceful until something unwanted came their way. Well, if it isn't the freak. A familiar rude voice spoke, causing heads to turn. Menma and Naruto were standing by them, sending glares to Naruto and his friends. "What do you two want?" Naruto asked with a slight growl. "What kind of shit do you think you could pull with us? I demand you disband your stupid clan and give us your secrets. You don't deserve powers like that, or you're two freaks you call brothers." Naruto stated angrily, earning glares from Naruto and his friends. "Sectonia and Hinata deserve to be my wives for my clan, not yours, Dobi." Menma stated with venom. "I suggest you guys back off and leave us alone. We came here to enjoy ourselves and not deal with you two." Kiba stated angrily as Akamaru barked in agreement. "I am not disbanding my clan and handing over my friends and brothers. I don't hold a grudge against your parents, but I do with you both. You both are nothing but greedy, spoiled brats who throw a tantrum for not getting what they want. Leave now, because do you really want to start a fight with a clan head and a group of clan heirs and two-leaf shinobi? Not only are you outmatched and outgunned, but you'll run a high risk of being punished for attacking other clans. Make your choice," Naruto stated, adding his unique killing intent to the mix. "Grr. Fine. You may win this round, but you better watch your back, freak." Menma growled as the two former siblings left, leaving the group to their peace. "Sorry about that, guys. I didn't expect them to find us here," Naruto stated. "It's all right, Naruto. You've handled the situation with a good amount of wisdom and youth. Those two unyouthful siblings will get what's coming to them," Lee stated, getting a smile from Naruto and his brothers. "Thanks, guys," Naruto answered. The group finished the potluck before heading back to their homes. They did have a test tomorrow if they wanted to become genins after all. The next day, Naruto and his brothers along with Sectonia met up with their team at the front of the Forest of Death with a look of determination in their eyes. "Morning, boys. I'm glad you could make it. Now for your test," Kushina stated as Naruto and his teammates nodded. "Your test is simple. We're going to play a game of tag. The 5 of you have until 12 o'clock to place these paper tags on both of us. We'll be hiding around and remain in the village. If you tag us, then you pass. Fail and we'll tie you to a tree and make you skip out on lunch until you try again." Anko explained, handing a few tags to Naruto's group before they disappeared in a swirl of leaves. "Alright guys, take these," Naruto stated as he handed his brothers and teammates some wrist communicators. "Attach these to your wrists and we can use them to communicate with each other from anywhere in a 40-mile radius. We need to work together if we want to tag one of our senseis before time runs out. I've got a plan and I need you guys to work with me on it," Naruto stated as they huddled up and told them his plan. They then separated, ready to put their plan into action. Anko was hidden in the forest by the Hokage monument, while Kushina was hidden in a location near the monument. Both of them were fully alert of their surroundings and was looking down the village from the height they were currently at. No sign of Naruto and the others yet. "I wonder where the Gaki went to?" Anko asked questionably. "I don't know, but if they don't hurry up then they'll fail," Kushina stated as a large shadow flew past them. They merely thought it was a cloud before they realized something. It was a sunny day and there wasn't a single cloud in the sky. They looked up to see Sectonia in her queen form with both of her rapiers in her hands diving towards the duo. "Shit!" Anko shouted as both of them split up to avoid the giant wasp queen from slashing them. "Now for part 2, Sectonia stated through the communicator before creating a copy of herself and went after the two kunoichi. Kushina was running through the street avoiding the giant wasp queen chasing her. She quickly ducked into the woods, avoiding a blade trying to strike her. She stopped when she noticed she wasn't being followed. "Did I lose her? I know a place like this will make it very difficult for her to follow me with being that size." Click. She turned, hearing click-like sounds around her, but she couldn't pinpoint where it was coming from until she felt something breathing down her neck. She slowly turned around as her eyes widened. Naruto was behind her, but his body from the waist down was that of a spider's with the kanji for fox on his thorax, 6 legs equipped with claw-like appendages, no doubt used for grabbing. He had 8 eyes, with one half red and the other blue. His headband had turned into a bowler hat with leaf plate on it. There was a hole underneath his wrists and 2 insect-like jaws were poking from the side of his mouth. Hello mother. Naruto shouted as he attempted to grab his former mother, who jumped out of his grasp and ran. Her spider son was following after her, leaping from tree to tree with ease and shooting webs from his wrists at her. She had tears in her eyes because, like a lot of females, she hated spiders, and Naruto knew it all too well. She then found herself pulled down to the floor as the grass in front of her lifted to reveal another spider like Naruto. Then the next thing, she was grabbed by him and dragged into the ground as the grass covered her up. The other Naruto fell apart and turned into a pile of spider web, which Sectonia noted, knowing it was time for part 3. Anko had found herself in an abandoned part of the village, which she was surprised since there was always poor or yakuza living in this part of town. Seems I've lost her. I did not expect Naruto's girlfriend turning a giant rapier-wielding bee. Damn Gaki, Anko stated when she suddenly heard growling. She armed herself with a kunai and readied herself for the threat. She then saw a large stone paw peeked from an alleyway. The paw belonged to a large 20-feet stone fox, who she no doubt guessed was Alucard, and riding on top of him with a bow and arrow in her hands was Hinata. Hinata was wielding a high-tech bow made out of some kind of silver metal with yellow highlights, a quiver with over 50 strange metal arrows stocked inside, and a metal arrow ready to be let loose. Oh shit, Anko stated as she started running while Hinata began to fire arrows at her while Alucard gave chase. The duo had cleared the district, knowing that they didn't want any unneeded interference from the people who lived there. Anko was doing everything she could to avoid the assault of arrows, but she couldn't counter due to Alucard using his tail to block any projectile aimed for Hinata. He also didn't make it any easier for Anko either by shooting some of his relics at her, which returned to him when he passed by. They had her stuck in a straight line since going into an alleyway wasn't an option due to the accuracy of the arrows keeping her from turning in their rapid succession. They're leading me somewhere, but where exactly? Anko thought as she noticed a large wall made out of mirror glass standing far ahead of her. They seriously think a large wall of glass is supposed to stop me? Sorry kiddies, but you have to try harder. Anko stated as she was ready to burst through the mirror when something grabbed her armor the moment she got close to the glass. It was a foxtail that was peeking from the mirror, and she looked at it to see Roxas wearing blue and white striped jester hat, and a staff was inside the very mirror. Got you, Roxas stated as she was pulled into the mirror, and Hinata and Sulamaru teleported away. Anko had now found herself tied up at the entrance to the Forest of Death with Kushina, both of them tied up and had the tags on their foreheads. Surrounding them was a smiling Naruto, Roxas, Hinata, human Sectonia, and Hinata. We win senseis. Naruto answered with a big fox-like grin on his face as Roxas and Alucard cut the ropes, letting their senseis free. How did you guys do all that stuff? We know Hinata can do archery since we've seen you teach her during your spare time, but what's with those other forms? Anko asked, completely interested. Something special I came up with over the years living with my brothers, while Sectonia's was her own capabilities. Naruto explained. I'll explain once you guys meet us back at my home, but we figured that the main goal of the test was teamwork since it's a tradition to every team in the Leaf. Alone we're strong, but together we can be unstoppable. Alucard answered, earning a smile from Kushina and Anko. Well, congratulations. You 5 are officially genin in a team. We expect a lot of great things from you. Now why don't we go out and get some dango to celebrate? Kushina stated, earning a cheer from her genin and Anko as they went off to celebrate. Minato had seen how the whole test went, and he felt he couldn't be even more prouder. Naruto had came up with a great plan, and every member of his team worked together to complete the task, plus he had a kick watching his wife and Anko get chased around like that. They no doubt grow to become a force to be reckoned with. I'm pretty sure of it. Minato answered with a smile on his face, then proceeded to watch the other teams. At the end of it, Team 7, 8, 10, 11 and 12 had passed the genin exam. A few weeks later, Naruto and his teammates had been doing D-ranked missions around the village. It went from walking dogs to picking vegetables, helping out at a bakery, and a lot of other cases that were considered chores to a lot of people. They didn't really complain since they were being paid for it, and everyone was helping out, including Kushina and Anko. Today was their last D-ranked mission, which consisted of catching a stray cat known around the village as Tora. Tora was the daimyo's wife's cat who had a bad habit of running away and causing trouble in the village. Genins called Tora the cat from hell due to it being aggressive enough to give every genin a hard time. Come in. This is Habanero speaking. can you read me? Kushina voice spoke through the communicator somewhere in the woods where the cat was last spotted. This is Queen Bee speaking from Point A. Sectonia's voice answered. Star Fox coming in from Point B. Roxas answered. Snake Queen speaking from Point C. Anko said. Ancient Fox reporting from Point D. Alucard's voice spoke. Miss Lavender speaking from Point E. Hinata's voice spoke. This is Professor Fox coming from Point F. I have visual of the target. Is trap in place? Naruto asked. Trap in place. Target is heading for it. Wait for it. Go 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 go. Kushina spoke as the group of genin took off and triggered their trap. There was loud yowl of a cat and a clink of metal as an orange and black striped cat was found caught in a cage with a ribbon on its ear and a plate of fish inside. Ribbon on the right ear. Yep, that's Tora. Kushina stated as Anko and the genin were smiling. Now for the annoying point. Trying to keep this mission from popping up again. Anko sighed only to be greeted by a smiling Naruto. He had something in mind. Team 12 came into the mission office which had Minato and some Chunin in charge of the mission while the daimyo's wife was standing there with a smile on her face. Before I give you Tora, miss, can I ask you question? Do you used to be a dog owner? Naruto asked. Why yes. Do you know something about Tora's behavior? She asked. Well, I believe I know why Tora might have been running away. You can't be rough to cats as you are to dogs since cats are more of a calmer and laid-back animal. Have you tried stroking Tora gently instead of hugging him tightly? A gentle approach will keep Tora happy and him from running away again. Naruto explained as he handed Tora over to her. She tried Naruto's idea and began to stroke Tora gently, who loosened up and purred gratefully at the gentle touch. Why thank you, young man. I never seen Tora this happy before. I'll put in a good word in for you with my husband and here's some extra pay for the tip. No doubt my husband will be sending more higher ranked missions since this problem has been solved. She explained, handing Naruto some extra money which he split between his teammates as she left with a smile and a happy Tora. Thanks to you, no one will be having to chase Tora again and the Leaf will get extra high ranked missions from now on. Good job Team 12, Iruka stated as he was glad that no other team would be stuck with that mission again. Excuse me Hokage-sama, is it okay if we take a C-ranked mission this time? We have done all the D-ranked missions required for a C rank, our teamwork is really strong and we believe we are ready for a higher mission. Alucard asked. Well, I agree with you there, but it's your senseis who get to decide. Minato answered. We believe they're both ready for a C-ranked mission. They have been showing a lot of promise out on missions and training and have the best teamwork and compatibility. Anko explained with a smile on her face, and Kushina who nodded in agreement. Very well. We'll give you your first C-rank mission. Minato stated. Your next mission is to escort your client to his home in the Land of Waves. You are to protect him from bandits and bring him there safely. Bring in the client. Minato answered as the client came in. Why do I get a strange feeling that this mission isn't going to be easy? Naruto thought as they saw a look of worry in the old man who was their client. He couldn't shake the feeling that they were going to be in for the mission of their lives. The wave arc has begun and Team 12 is going to be in for a wild ride. Now for a sneak peek of two of the stories you are voting on. They are Son of Gluttony and Royal Knight Hero Imperialman. Starting now. Royal Knight Hero Imperialman, My Hero Academia and Digimon crossover. Help! A voice cried out from the alleyway next to him. What? Izuku asked as he felt a pull towards him. A pull to someone who needed a hero. Without thinking he ran down the alleyway to see someone being attacked. It was a small blue and white-faced baby dragon with red eyes, zigzag horns and a long tail who was being cornered by a bunch of kids 10 years older than Izuku. They're 3 kids and they all had animal quirks, one was a crocodile, one was vulture and the other was a hydra. They were beating the poor little guy. Hey, leave him alone, Izuku shouted, getting the bullies and the bullied attention. Run, these guys are sickos. The blue dragon squeaked only to get kicked by the hydra kid. I know you. You are one of those quirkless kids going around here. My little brother told me about a kid in his class who didn't have a quirk and you match his description perfectly. Yelled the hydra kid. What do I do? There's no way I can take on these guys without any powers. I'll get killed. I should find a hero. I should. Izuku's train of thought had stopped when he saw the look of the baby blue dragon kid, mainly his eyes. The eyes of someone in need. Pleading for help. Then what happened next was a blur. I bet he The Hydra was interrupted when a small fist had hit his face. The fist belonged to the one and only Izuku Midoriya, who had lunged at the teenager and punched him in the face. This punch wasn't ordinary either. There was something special about it. For a few seconds, you could see a bright green coating aura around before it faded, while the punch from a small child had sent the Hydra flying into a wall. That stance. It's the stance of the night. Thank you for standing up for me. I'm Demiviman. I owe you big time for saving me. You were awesome with the glowing punch and those digicode eyes. The Blue Dragon Kid shouted. I think we found the 14th Royal Knight. Son of Gluttony, Digimon and Naruto crossover. 5-year-old Naruto never knew he was destined for great things. He was known by the people of the village hidden in the leaves as a pariah or outcast. He was a lonely soul who was treated with abuse and hate by the villagers every day. Was it because he was born different from everyone else? His skin was a very pale light gray. He had pale blonde wild hair. He had a third eye on his forehead which he hid underneath the bangs of his hair, while his eyes were a bright blue with black sclera. A purple mark of some kind on his nose, and he had a small gray tail that almost looked like a lizard's or rat's. He wore a black shirt with a red swirl on it, blue shorts, a red bandana around his neck and blue sandals, while he had whisker marks on his cheeks. Naruto was always chased by mobs of villagers who try and hurt and call him names. They call him demon, monster, fox brat and all kinds of other names, but one he didn't like the most was freak. W.A.K. A voice echoed through the darkness. Who's there? Naruto thought. Wake up, master, the voice spoke once more. B.E. Naruto thought. You're almost there. Wake up and speak our name. The voice spoke once more, sounding like two people instead of one. Bajirena. I am now Balman, the son of Beelzemon and inheritor of the Bajirena and Behemoth. An old man with the looks of a bridge builder and reeked of alcohol had walked into the room. Seriously? This is my protection? 3 brats, a plush toy and a statue. I feel so protected. The old man stated, only to feel something fly past him. It was a fireball, arrow, bolt of lightning, and 3 fists that formed a large hole behind him, courtesy of Team 12's genin, who were sporting glares. What was that? Roxas asked, giving a hard glare infused with killing intent. Despite Roxas being adorable, he can give one menacing and unnerving glare. Never mind. I'm Tazuna and I'm a bridge builder. I'm building a bridge in Wave and need someone to keep me safe when I go back. Tazuna explained. Don't worry, you're in good hands. Naruto stated, clutching onto the fox star pendant around his neck. Alright, prepare to leave tomorrow at 8 and make sure to grab provisions and the bare necessities. Dismissed. Anko stated as they left to go prepare for tomorrow. Luckily the group didn't run until the Namikaze siblings, Sasuke or Sakura either. Naruto had walked Hinata home before taking his brothers and Sectonia home with him. So big brother, what are you going to pack? Roxas asked as the group walked inside the hidden fox. Some food, water bottles, I'm going to bring some of my copy candy, shurikens, kunais, paper bombs, food pills, chakra pills, and some spy bots. We should try using the battle room for some more experience. A brand new mission had popped up, so I thought we could go ahead and try it. Naruto explained. The training would be useful. Might as well give a hand on it. Sectonia answered. The group then headed towards the battle room for a good dose of training before their next mission. They made it to the machine to see a new mission unlocked. The title read, Guardian of the Crown. Trial for the Stars, and the reward had a huge question mark on it. It had to be special. Alright, here we go guys. Naruto stated, activating the simulation. The area transformed into the center of a volcano, but there was no power-ups this time. It's one of those no power-up challenges. It's been a while since we got one of those. We have been using copy abilities for a bit when it comes to the normal challenges, so this is a good change of pace. Alucard explained. He's correct. You can't rely on copy candies every time or someone will figure out to counter it and also hurt your skills. Sectonia explained. Correct you are. A mysterious older male voice echoed as the group looked around for the source to notice something large and red fly past them, creating a strong gust. They got a closer look to see it was a huge dragon. The dragon was short and stout than normal dragon when it came to its body size, but had 4 heads equipped with blue eyes, pink and red striped horns, short but strong wings, a short talon and single talon feet with star marks on their faces, yet a strong aura around them. Who are you? Naruto asked curiously. My name is Landia and I am your current trial. You chose this mission to see if you were worthy of a power a dear old friend of mine had discovered and used in the past. The powers of the Ultra Stars. Landia stated, earning a surprise amount of shock from the three brothers and the Insect Queen. Ultra Stars were the form of an ultimate version of a copy ability. Aldous had written about them in his research. They were otherworldly powers that manifested in a living creature or object due to exposure from powerful star energy called Ultra Energy. These were extremely rare occurrences, but when the energy is utilized it allow a person to gain powers that could tear through planets' surfaces with ease. So far the Doctor had documented over 5 Ultra Stars, which were the Ultra Sword, Flare Beam, Grand Hammer, Snowball and Monster Flame, yet he hypothesized that there were others out there amongst the stars. However, not anyone could use them. These things were fickle and those unworthy or weak would be destroyed by the star's powers, with being crippled the least amount of damage that could happen. Then one day, the stars just vanished and to never be seen again. I met the ship's owner a long time ago. He was a good friend of mine. He was one of the users of the Ultra Star's powers. We fought a great evil together with 3 others who had abused the power of the Master Crown, one source of Ultra Energy. We defeated the threat as the crown was destroyed, but my dear friend feared the resurgence of abusers of Ultra Energy and asked me to seal the energy way so no one could misuse its powers ever again. I gave him some of my essence to store away in this ship to test those who had a chance to use the stars for good. My old self died long ago and was reborn within this very ship. Landia explained. So you've been watching us through the battle room to see if we were worthy of taking your mission? Naruto stated. Correct. I have watched you 3 grow, especially you Naruto. Not only did you defeat one of the few darkness located within the machine, but you saved the soul who was trapped within and gave her another chance at life. To make things more interesting, if you manage to beat me, not only would I grant you the ability to use Ultra Stars, but I'll give you the dragon summoning contract which allows me to aid you. Landia explained. Very well Landia, we're ready when you are. Naruto stated. Very well. With my power, I declare this trial to begin. Hath at thee. Landia roared as his health gauge appeared. Landia was the first to make a move by flying towards them and spinning like a drilling bullet, causing the 4 to leap out of the way of the vicious attack. Naruto immediately started going through hand signs as Landia circled back for another attack. Fairy style. Mystic Gale Jutsu. Naruto shouted as he let out a huge gust of pink aura-filled wind which collided with Landia, slowing him down while doing damage, giving Naruto a chance to dodge the flying dragon. Thanks to Naruto's 12 unique hand signs consisting of time, dimension, courage, illusion, fox, heart, soul, will, unity, truth, spirit and paradox, Naruto was able to create a total of 5 new elements that consisted of fairy, ether, phantasm, motion and spatial. Fairy was strong against spatial, spatial strong against motion, motion strong against phantasm, phantasm stronger than ether and ether strong against fairy. These elements could only be utilized by someone with relic or star energy, so only Naruto, his brothers and Sectonia could use it like star and relic styles. Hinata might be able to get tested for any star or relic energy though. Naruto thought, bracing himself against a large gale that Landia had created with his wings while Roxas was weaving through hand signs. Star style. Cosmic Mind Jutsu. Roxas stated as an aura of purple burst around him which boosted his endurance and attack power by a great amount. When Roxas saw the gales slow down, he quickly leapt into the air with his claws extending and delivering a powerful slash to Landia, halting his assault while giving Sectonia a chance to strike. Dark lighting. She shouted as she unleashed a powerful bolt of black lightning from her staff, blasting Landia and knocking the dragon back only for him to recover and let out a barrage of fireballs at them. Relic style. Shield of Stone Jutsu. Alucard stated as he summoned relics from his body, forming a large shield that blocked the fireballs and protected his team before weaving another set of hand signs. Relic style. Shield Smash Jutsu. He shouted as he fired the shield at Landia, striking the dragon multiple times and doing severe amounts of damage before the relics returned back into Alucard's chest. Naruto shot out forward as a sphere of star energy formed in his open right hand as he rushed forth. Star style. Stardust Rasengan. Naruto shouted as he pressed the sphere against Landia, who repeated his spinning charge attack only for the sphere to submerge Landia and sending him flying back into the volcano's wall surrounding him in a big cloud of smoke. They had managed to reduce Landia's health bar down to half only to hear a loud roar that echoed almost 4 times. Suddenly 4 single-headed and smaller Landias shot out of the smoke enveloped in fire heading straight towards them. Scatter! Naruto shouted as the 4 jumped out of the way dodging the smaller dragon's attack. Who knew he could split himself into 4, but he ain't taking us down. Naruto declared as the 4 dragons circled back once more to strike at the group. Relic style. Relic blast. Alucard shouted as he fired 4 spheres of relics and relic energy from his body at the incoming dragons, striking them and knocking them off course of their drill attack. Landia quickly shook it off as a bolt of lightning appeared connecting to the 4 in a cross pattern while the 4 spun and headed towards the 4 warriors, spinning and creating a violent twister-like cross. Motion style. Echo disruption jutsu. Naruto shouted as he let out a scream of high-pitched supersonic sound waves that slowed down Landian and disrupting his attack amongst the 4 of him. Now, Naruto shouted as Sectonia revealed herself to be above the 4 dragons with a massive pink diamond floating above her. Diamond crush, she shouted, tossing the diamond towards the 4. It struck the 4 dragons and brought them to the ground while the crystal shattered to pieces. The 4 dragons were stunned and unable to move for a bit. It gave the team a chance to finish the fight once and for all. They focused their energies into Roxas as his claws turned into gold sabers. Star style. Claws of the Just. Roxas shouted as he charged forth with an incredible burst of speed before flying past the 4 Landia, whose health gauge dropped to 0 as they were sent flying to the other side of the mountain. Landia then got up and reformed back to 1 dragon. You all have done an incredible feat. It has been a long time since I had faced defeat. You are truly worthy of the Ultra Stars. As promise for defeating me, I grant you 4 USU of the Ultra Stars and the Dragon contract. Landia spoke as 4 lights shot into the 4 shinobi while a scroll appeared before them. Sign the contract with your blood to seal the deal. We don't mind if you accept other contracts even after you signed ours. We seek no conflict with other summoning clans. However, I do wish for a favor. I like a place to declare as stomping grounds. Landia explained. Well, I can ask my sensei to let you live in the Forest of Death with us. I'm sure she won't mind. Naruto explained. Thank you. Landia spoke. The next day, Naruto, his brothers and Sectonia had arrived to the village gate to see the rest of their team and Tazuna talking to each other. Hey guys. Roxas answered, getting the group's attention. Morning Naruto, Roxas, Alucard and Sectonia. Hinata answered with a smile on her face. I've got the message from you yesterday, Gaki. Your friend Landia can stay in the Forest of Death. The Hokage doesn't mind either as long as he doesn't cause any trouble. Anko explained. He had informed the rest of the team about Landia and were happy to have a powerful dragon assisting their home village. He also made sure that any information that held mentioned their powers had a special seal on it to prevent information from being copied and stolen. He heard of a certain Sanin that betrayed the village before he was born. He knew the snake would do anything with that information. It's time to set off, shall we? Kushina answered. I think I should watch from the skies. I'll be able to spot any bandits coming our way from above. Naruto stated. How are you going to do that, kid? Tazuna asked curiously. With this, go Fox Star. Naruto answered as he unclipped his Fox Star and tossed it as it grew to its full size. And you couldn't tell me about this? Kushina asked, surprised. Well, it can only carry 2 people on it if you want to be safe with 4 at most with maximum risk. Plus it's another clan secret. Naruto explained. I remember it when you took me for a ride on it. It was really fun. Hinata answered with a smile. Can I try? It looks so cool, Databane. Kushina stated. Sure, that way we have a good aerial assault for unexpected opponents below. Naruto answered as he got on the Fox Star with his mother sitting behind him with her arms wrapped around him before both of them took off into the sky. Luckily Naruto still had his communicator on him, so when his friends below needed something from him he'll be able to respond and assist quickly. Wow, this is so amazing, Naruto. I wish I have one of these. Do you think you can make me something like this? Kushina asked. Maybe I can. You just have to see, but if you do you must promise to not lose it or tell anyone about it. In exchange I like to learn some kenjutsu. Naruto answered, "Deal, but can I choose the design?" Kushina asked. "Sure, I won't mind." Naruto answered as Kushina fist bumped happily. The group continued on their journey for a while, listening onto each other using the communicators when Naruto received a text. Texts were very important on stealth missions or to warn allies when in an opponent's range. Puddle in middle of road and it hasn't rained in weeks. Obvious genjutsu. Detect 2 low chunins within it. High chance our client lied about the difficulty of the mission. Should we strike while the iron is hot or confirm previous motion? Naruto read on his communicator before looking at Kushina. I suggest we strike while the iron is hot. You did warn us about the obvious signs that Tazuna was hiding something. Best to have him safe and not risk him dead. Kushina explained as Naruto sent the okay before diving down. The airborne duo got a better look at the ground below to see 2 twin ninja equipped with chains and claws emerged from the puddle, charging towards the ground members of Team 12. Naruto took out a kunai and aimed it before tossing it at the 2 rogue nin. The kunai struck the chain, pinning it to the ground while forcing the brothers, which he recognized as the demon brothers of the hidden mist, to crash into the ground, allowing Sulamaru and Hinata to strike both downed nin, knocking them into the realm of unconsciousness. You got some answers we want to hear since you've clearly lied to us about the difficulty of this mission. Anko stated as the group looked at Tazuna with was sweating. Okay, I lied about having ninja after me, but it's for a good reason. You see, a few years ago, the Land of Waves was a prosperous trading center amongst the elemental nations for our goods. Then one day he came. Gato had come to the wave. Tazuna answered, Gato of Gato Shipping? I heard about that bastard. He secretly brings in drugs and other types of contraband into the country and rules over the entire underworld. What does he have to do with this unless? Alucard explained, he's after Wave. He's bought out every business and closed off all the ports as well. He is bleeding the island dry, and anyone who stands against him ends up getting killed by his thugs and goons. My home is dying and my bridge is the only hope we've got to free ourselves from poverty and Gato's reign. My family is in danger the longer we talk. I'm begging you, please don't back out of this mission. We've suffered so much and won't be able to survive if this keeps up. Tazuna explained as the group thought about it until Naruto stepped up. I'm in. We can't let an innocent nation being crumpled and destroyed. That tyrant, and from the looks of Tazuna's eyes he has already lost someone close to him. We are the last hope for Wave. Naruto stated as Tazuna looked surprised. I'm agree with Big Brother. We can't let that jerk hurt any more people. We have to continue the mission and protect Tazuna at all costs. Roxas shouted, joining in. Same here. We aren't let this kind of scum continue his path of destruction. Alucard answered. I agree with Naruto-kun and his brothers. We can't let any more innocent people die and doom an entire country. Hinata answered. I know how someone like Gato leave the country if this continues. I made a vow and I'm going to keep it. Senseis, let us continue the mission. We can get paid after Wave is back on their feet again. Sectonia answered as it all came to the senseis, who looked at each other and nodded. We'll continue the mission. It'll make us look bad if we didn't, plus us Uzumaki bring family first. We can't let this continue any further. You've got a deal, Tazuna. Kushina answered as Tazuna was surprised and filled with hope. Thank you so much. I promise to pay when Wave is back on its feet once more. Tazuna answered. We'll have to be ready because the next ninja they'll send will no doubt be John in rank. Naruto stated as the group nodded. Their mission was only just beginning.
That's all for now. If you want to see next part, then please like this video and subscribe my channel. Thank you.